Hello, everybody. Welcome to our simulation of the 2022 Indianapolis 500-mile race. My name is Jay Barker. We're going to be simming this year's Indianapolis 500 through the power of iRacing. Should be a fun one. I got Cody Gump here with me. Cody, how you doing?
Doing great, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm super pumped for this race. 500 miles of pure heart-pumping excitement. I'm pumped.
Me too, man. Definitely going to be a fun experience. Never done any type of broadcast like this, having uh, co-commentators or anything like that. So, going to be a learning process for me. Not sure how your experience is with it, but looking forward to broadcasting this recreation of the Indy 500.
All right. Romain Grosjean going to lead the field off of pit road for practice. Excuse me.
20 minutes here is the set time for practice. Not sure if we'll run the full distance. We'll let drivers make a good bunch of laps and then might go ahead and advance it. All right.
Grosjean 219 down the front straightaway into turn one.
So while we're in practice here, Jay, I would like to take a minute real quick, though, to bring up the race info to get the 411 on today's event. So we're here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Current weather, 86 degrees, 51% humidity, partly cloudy skies, and 18-mile-an-hour wind gust. Track length is just over 2.5 miles per iRacing, measuring it at 2.51 miles. Track temperature not reading correctly there. So current track weather looking very interesting here today. Not super hot here at the Brickyard. 86 degrees is the air temp. So Jay, what's that going to do to the track surface? Tires going to be a factor?
I don't know about how much tires are going to be a factor. This track surface is fairly new. The place was repaved within the last 12 to 13 years or so, and it's been coated with a sealer. So grip is going to be good throughout the day until I think the very end of tire runs. Then we're going to see some guys maybe starting to slip and slide just a little bit. But they just put this track sealer on, I want to say 3 years ago or so, around the pandemic area or so. So we're going to have a fun one here today, I think. This is a diamond cut racing surface. That's how they shaped the racetrack with this concrete, or not concrete, asphalt, excuse me.
Now, for the fans at home, Jake, can you elaborate a little bit on diamond cut, what that exactly means in terms of the surface?
So basically what it means is that the surface is so smooth around here. You're not going to get like a Darlington surface or like an old Atlanta surface, but throughout the years as this place ages, this surface is going to last a really long time. I think they'll go at least another 15 to 20 years maybe on this surface before they have to repave it.
So a fairly
So,
smooth surface compared to, say, like a Darlington or something
oh
like
yeah.
that, with very
Or
more.
if you want to say like in Iowa where tires are a huge thing there for IndyCar, yeah.
Okay. Connor Daly now at the top of the leaderboards, 40.65
Connor
practice.
Daly from Noblesville, Indiana, which is about an hour from here.
Daly quickest on the speed charts. Just a mere 2/100ths faster than Graham Rahal. Graham Rahal showing in the car number 15. Jay, type of information you got on Rahal?
So Graham Rahal, he has come close here a couple times. In 2021, he about had this race locked up, but a bad pit stop left the right rear wheel loose on the race car, and as he was coming out of pit road, the wheel fell off and he slammed into the outside wall from the warm-up lane. Luckily, no one was coming to slam into him, so everything ended up okay in that situation. And then in 2011, he went from 30th to 3rd and almost won, but fuel played a factor, and he had to save.
Right
So he's looking for a
behind.
big win here today.
Good deal. Right behind Rahal is the pink and white car, Kyle Kirkwood. 27th on the speed charts. What are they hoping for here today, Jay?
So this is going to be Kyle's first ever 500, or first or second, but he just got off of winning the Long Beach Grand Prix. So maybe they've got some high hopes here. They won the second biggest race of the year for IndyCar at Long Beach. It's going to be a long race for them. I think it's going to be adapt and learn and try to stay there in the end. But I'd say if they come on with a top 10, they won't complain.
Good deal. Right behind Kirkwood is 16th place Felix Rosenquist, and on his back bumper is 5th place Alexander Rossi, as they now catch up to Kirkwood. Rossi sits P5 in that orange car. What's the news on him?
Alexander Rossi, the 2016 Indianapolis 500 winner, which was also the 100th running of the race. Very big deal for Rossi. He won that one on fuel mileage. But not to discredit him, he was up there all day. He knew how to get it done. In the past couple years, he's been very good in this race. He's almost won it on 2 different occasions other than 2016. This year, they're running the throwback car for McLaren. That car throws it back to Johnny Rutherford, who won the 500 twice in the 70s. I believe in 74, and I want to say around 78, 79. I'd have to look it up, but that's off the top of my head. And I'm saying that, and then behind him, 2 cars behind him and his teammate Felix Rosenquist, they are throwing it back to Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, Monaco wins back in the 80s and 90s.
Now, Jay, whenever the Indy 500 happens, there's one name, at least to me, that sticks out. Very notable guy. Very Vin Diesel reminding me esque kind of guy. Let's take a moment to talk about 31st place Tony Kanaan. Had an iconic win here a few years ago. What's in store today for TK?
Tony Kanaan, he has announced that this will be his last IndyCar start here in the 2023 Indianapolis 500, and what a place to end his illustrious career. He's got over a dozen wins in IndyCar, including the Indianapolis 500 in 2013, which will forever be one of the biggest moments here at Indianapolis, as he is the most popular guy here. Everyone wants him to win. He's hoping for a good run today. Practice speed is not showing it right now, but we'll see what happens in qualifying, see if he can be there at the end.
Just ahead of him, a few cars. RC Anderson, we briefed him earlier. What all are they looking for in today's race? Currently last on the speed charts.
They made the show in qualifying. We couldn't get Ryan Hunter-Reay in here. I'm sorry. But
right.
They made the show in qualifying. They're here. They're just happy to be here, I think. I'm sure we'll see them a lot throughout the day. That car is not the quickest. Like I said, they just secured that motor and that chassis and everything on that car. Everything just came together a couple weeks ago as of recording this.
One of the most unique names throughout the IndyCar field would be that of 17th place Stingray Robb. Currently 17th place in the 51 car. I believe that's a Rick Ware entry. Can you inform me on that and elaborate?
Right, you are. Rick Ware Racing came into IndyCar a few years ago, because Rick Ware has a lot of money apparently. But they just came into IndyCar a few years ago. They're running the full schedule this year. They ran it last year too with Takuma Sato. But Stingray Robb, Indy Lights driver, just came up to the IndyCar series this year. He's looking for a good run here today. He's looking for hopefully a top 20. He's just looking to finish, I think. And if you just finish the Indy 500, that's an accomplishment in itself. Just doing all 500 miles. That's huge.
Now, one of the many names I will probably butcher here is that of Elio Castroneves? Castroneves? Castroneves. I can never forget if it's Helio or Elio. So he currently, again, I will butcher that name about 30 more times, so stay tuned. Currently 5th on the speed charts. What's going on with the number 6 car?
Elio Castroneves, 4 times a winner in the Indianapolis 500. Just got that 4th win a few years back in 2021. It was a very big deal here. tying AJ Foy, Al Unser, and Rick Mears. Elio is looking for a good result here today. This could be one of his last 500s. I think he might have one more year on that Meyer Shank contract. I'm not sure, though. But this is a big deal for Elio. If he could get number 5, that would be a very historic moment in all of auto racing if he can get that number 5 here today. But we'll have to see. The Meyer Shank team has been kind of off lately. They haven't won since that 2021 Indianapolis 500, so we're looking for something big here today from Elio. He sits P5 on the speed chart right now. Let's see what happens after qualifying.
Now, Elio currently heads pit side, one of only about a handful of cars currently in the pits. Elio is in the pits with Will Power. Will Power 12th in the car number 12. Augustin Canapino, 16th place, sits pit side. So does Jack Harvey in 27th place, car number 30. Connor Daly still on the top of the speed charts. Currently has 14th place Dixon and 23rd place Santino. Ferrucci ahead of him. Ferrucci 23rd place right now in the 14 car. What's the scoop on Santino?
Santino Ferrucci coming to the Indianapolis 500 here this year with AJ Foyt Racing in that 14 entry. I don't know if I would call that a throwback really, but it does have a very similar feel and look to when AJ was racing in the late 80s, early 90s with that black Copenhagen 14 that he used to run here. Santino, past few years in the 500, he's been getting there. Last year, I think he finished about 16th or so. But in one of his first attempts, he got to, I think, P7 or so off of a late race restart. That was in 2019. That was his rookie year, actually. He was great in 2019 for his rookie year on the ovals. I'm looking for him to maybe do a pretty good job here today. Maybe top 10 even. Who knows?
Now, I would like to take a minute to talk about, if the names are not mistaken, 31st position, car number 44, a very unique story on the High Rock Vodka car, it appears. Jay, what can you tell me about Catherine Legge?
Catherine Legge, sports car driver mainly. Catherine Legge, she did IndyCar for a while, for a couple years, and then she went to sports car racing with IMSA, almost winning the 2017 24 Hours of Daytona, actually 2016, excuse me, driving for Nissan in the Delta Wing. Unfortunately, she got into a mid-race incident while leading the race, but she's been doing great in sports cars whenever she was making starts, usually running in the prototype class, now known as GT Daytona, or GT Prototype, excuse me. But she's back here for an IndyCar start here at the Indianapolis 500. Her IndyCar starts haven't really been too impressive, but we'll see if that can change here today.
Now, Jay, correct me if I am wrong, but Catherine Legge is the only female in today's field. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. First female in a few years, actually.
Last one was
Pippa Mann, I believe, in
Pippa Mann,
2019.
Yep. Sounds
in the
about
Clausen
right.
Marshall.
Clausen Marshall, yep. Currently riding on board with Catherine Legge, 31st place. As now we will shift back to the quickest car on the surface, Connor Daly. Currently looking at the roll bar cam. The closest thing we can do to the cockpit cam here today. Cockpit cam, as we see now, basically like a helmet cam, not quite showing the best picture here. So roll bar for the best effect. Looks like Connor Daly heading into turn 1 here. Not much moving throughout the leaderboard, as Stefan Wilson and Christian Lundgaard both have gone pit side. Only about 5 minutes left in practice, so only about a handful of laps or so having the potential to be completed here for the drivers. So about 5 to 7 laps at maximum left with the time remaining. It's Connor Daly has Scott Dixon, 15th place, right behind him. Marcus Ericsson has left the pits, 7th place on the speed charts in the car number 8. Takuma Sato back out on the track as Benjamin Pedersen. Is it Pedersen or Peterson?
Pedersen.
Pedersen. Okay, good deal. Got one right today. Has gone pit side. Pedersen has entered the pits. As we will. Trying to watch some replay footage. Apparently there was an incident counter for Newgarden a couple laps ago. Trying to see if he made contact or anything anywhere. Didn't see it. Looking at Takuma Sato. Not seeing any issues there either. Connor Daly takes the quickest car on the track pit side. Fastest car left on the racing surface will be that of Graham Rahal in the car 15. Still just 2/100ths slower than Connor Daly. Newgarden works his way around Devlin DeFrancesco. Francesco?
I think it's Francesco or Francesco.
Okay.
I say Francesco.
I'm terrible with these names, so that's why I got Jay Barker here in the booth with me, guys, watching at home.
Glad to be here.
Appreciate you being on the call as we're down to the final 2 minutes of 20 here in practice.
I can't believe we've gone through practice all day and not said anything about Scott Dixon.
Scott Dixon? How could we ever forget about 15th place Scott Dixon, car
Now
number
16th.
9. Now 16th place Scott Dixon, car number 9. Jay, give us a scoop.
Scott Dixon, 2008 Indianapolis 500 winner. He's been kind of cursed here as of late, though. As last year in 2022, he could have won, but on the very last pit stop with about 10 to go, speeding on pit road, got the big penalty, knocked him out of the running for the win. 2021, he was there, but didn't really happen. He had the big crash here in 2017 when his car flew through turn 1 and 2, or through the short chute, I should say, in 1 and 2, hit the inside wall, flipping wildly upside down and crazy. And then it's really just been a bunch of seconds for him. He should have like 5 of these things by now, but he only has 1. So maybe he'll get it today, maybe he won't.
Lady Luck hoping to be on Scott Dixon's side. Currently mid-pack, surprisingly, on the speed chart, 16th place. Although from your leader, Connor Daly, who is now back on track, all the way to Scott Dixon, only about 0.8 of a second. So most of the field, as a matter of fact, your top 21 cars are all within a second. As Stingray Rob is back by 0.99 of a second. Renus VK in 22nd, just over the 1 second mark, 1.01 seconds out of the lead. The slowest car, RC Anderson, is 3 seconds off the pace. In terms of contenders, Catherine Legg is only 1.5 seconds off the pace, As practice has concluded, we're going to now go to qualifying. Connor Daly was the quickest car on the track during practice, so he's who I'm keeping my eyes on. Jay, who's your one to watch here for qualifying?
I think Scott Dixon, he holds the track record for the fastest pole speed here ever at a 2:35 in last year's 500. I think he'll be up there this year. Watch out for him in the top 5, I think.
All right. We'll see what becomes of it. The broadcast is focused on Connor Daly until the lap times start to trickle in here. So we'll watch Connor Daly get up to speed and then probably see his first lap on the clock, as we currently have the timing and scoring tower on the left hand of the screen. Connor Daly coming out of 4. Barney the flagman. Green flag is out. First lap on the clock for the 20 car. Connor Daly, a good turn 1 through the short chute into turn 2. It's a good run down the backstretch as the dashboard icon comes up. Connor Daly 230 down the backstretch into turn 3. Quick burp of the throttle settles it down to the mid 220s, 224 into turn 3. Out of turn 4 now, back on the loud pedal. 228, 229, 231, crossing the flag stand. Connor Daly, ninth quick. McLaughlin going to go quick time as the broadcast is going to pan to him now. 230 down the backstretch here, approaching turn 3. Will Power moves into second. Elio Castroneves third. Pato Award an impressive fourth. Colton Herta looks good in fifth. Connor Daly gets bumped now. He sits just in 10th. Watching McLaughlin come to the line. Second lap. Not much faster as Pato Award went
Will
quick
Power
time.
to the
Now Will
top.
Power to the top.
2018 champ here. Will Power to the top of the speed charts here at the Indianapolis 500. Marco Andretti had a pretty big move down there, getting up to 18th.
Watching
Jumped a few spots.
Marco now. His quickest lap so far, a 39.96. Still not anywhere near the leaders, as quick time so far is a 39.53 for Will Power. Watching him come out of 4 here to the flag stand. Is it going to be any faster? No. Newgarden now top of the leaderboard by 2/100ths faster.
That was a very big improvement on that lap for Joseph Newgarden. He was outside of the top 5.
39.51 for Newgarden. Rossi sits second. Pato Award. Scott McLaughlin has dropped back to 4th. And Dixon, we haven't talked much about him in qualifying, surprisingly. He's now 5th in what should be his last lap on the clock. Coming out of 4 here, can Dixon go quick time? He's only a less than 100th off the clock. Not going to do it. 39.56 for Dixon. Quick time so far is going to be Joseph Newgarden, as the last couple cars have trickled in. Newgarden's going to be quick time by 39.51. First through 13th, essentially all within a 10th.
For the first time in his career, Joseph Newgarden is going to be a pole sitter at the Indianapolis 500. What a run. Alexander Rossi second, Pato Award in third, fourth McLaughlin. First 2 rows are going to be McLaren and Penske cars. How about that?
Penske, a name synonymous here at the Brickyard IMS. Roger Penske, if I'm not
17 wins here
17
for
wins.
Roger Penske.
Current owner too, isn't he? Got the deed to the property in hand.
That's correct.
And got a car on the pole here in Indianapolis.
Audrey's first win was in 1977, I believe, with Mark Donahue driving for him. The late, great Mark Donahue. Or no, 1971, I think. It was the
As
first year they really had wings,
we
because 1977 was AJ Foyt.
had a 15-minute warm-up scheduled, that is going to go ahead and get delayed. That was a little bit of a potential media spot, but we're looking good here so far. So we are all set to go for 200 laps, 500 miles here around the Yard of Bricks. Cars are starting to grid here 2 by 2 since iRacing won't let us do 3 by 3.
Now I think we should get into some picks here.
Before we do that, though, going to go through the race grid really quick. Newgarden on the pole with Rossi outside. Pato Award third. Fourth is McLaughlin. Scott Dixon rounds out the top 5 with Will Power to his outside. Felix Rosenquist, Connor Daly, Marcus Ericsson rounds out 9th. Rounding out the top 10 is Elio Castroneves. 11th will go to Alex Pillow and 12th to Simon Pagino. Jay, you got about 13th through 20th?
13th going to be Graham Rahal, and 14th is going to be Colton Herta. 15th, sorry,
Not a problem. It's
a
going
little
to
bit of a
be
botch there. Jack Harvey going to be in 15th. 16th is going to be Santino Ferrucci. 17th, Romain Grosjean. 18th, Marco Andretti looking to break the Andretti curse here today. 19th, Renus VK. 20th, Christian Lundgaard.
21st is going to be Kyle Kirkwood. 22nd, Tony Kanaan. As the cars are starting to move here, going to finish up your grid. Dave Malukas starts 23rd with Ed Carpenter to his outside in 24th. 25th to Takuma Sato. Callum Ilott will be 26th. 7th to Augustin Canapino. Devlin DeFrancesco, Stingray Robb, Benjamin Pedersen, Catherine Legg, Stefan Wilson, R.C. Enerson round out the field as 34th and 35th are not scored. All right, Jay, real quick here as we go down the backstretch, who is your pick to be the one to watch here at Indy today?
Well, he's the hometown hero. He was fastest in practice. I'm going to go with Connor Daly to be my pick to win the Indianapolis 500.
Connor Daly starting 8th outside row 4. From me, I'm going to take a shot in the dark. My guy, the fan favorite, car number 66, Tony Kanaan, starting 22nd. Don't count out TK. Strategy and perseverance will be the key to success here at Indy. As the pace car is going to be set to pull off, Newgarden, Rossi, Pato Award, and McLaughlin, your first 2 rows. Scott Dixon rounds out the top 5. Looking. Give us a call, Barker.
Green.
And the green flag is waving, and the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500 is underway.
Newgarden's going to pull out to the early lead. Here comes O'Ward into second. Rossi going to challenge on the outside, bringing Pato O'Ward and Will Power with him. Connor Daly already up 1 spot into 7th. Rosenquist back a spot in 8th. Helio sets in 9th as Pagino rounds out the top 10.
Down into turn number 3. You got a challenge for the lead. Here comes McLaughlin to the inside. Your race is for the lead. 2 Penske's going at it, and McLaughlin takes the lead in the Indianapolis 500 into turn 4. 4 corners complete. 796 to go.
McLaughlin now out to about a 0.2 a second lead over Newgarden. Rossi sits in 3rd. Will Power already up 2 spots. He's one of the biggest movers so far in the first lap. He's now up to 4th. Scott Dixon currently rides still P5. As we got a race for the lead again, McLaughlin has got pressure all over his gearbox from Newgarden.
Newgarden down the back chute, looking for a place to make the move. Down into turn number 3. Does he make the move on his teammate? Not yet.
Nose to tail through turn 3. Now a little bit of a separation, about a car length in between them. McLaughlin sets the car in New Garden, not going to capitalize there.
The yellow submarine of Scott McLaughlin. That car has had so much history around this 2.5 miles here with Rick Mears. Elio Castroneves drove it for a few years. Johnny Rutherford drove it for a few years. That car is so iconic around here.
McLaughlin now out to about half a second lead. I want to take a moment to talk about 4th and 5th place. Will Power and Connor Daly. Will Power had a good run going there and was able to capitalize. Scott Dixon a couple laps ago got pinned to the inside. He dropped like a ship putting out the anchor. He went from about 4th to 6th very fast. Started 5th, was up to about 4th, now resides in 7th. Biggest mover so far appears to be McLaughlin in the lead, up 3 spots already in the opening 4 laps. Started 4th and is already the race leader. Now out to a 6/10 of a second lead over Newgarden.
So is it too early to talk about pit strategy, you think?
Never. What you got talking?
So we're looking at about 32 to 35 laps, I think. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, are we going to see some guys maybe short pitch this first stint here to maybe do some strategy here? We'll just have to see what happens. I'm thinking we're going to see guys come in around lap 30, though. See what happens.
I think about 32. From some of my personal laps on the sim, I think about 32 to 34 is kind of the golden spot. Might see some guys definitely go early. Wouldn't be surprised if some of the back markers in the field try to short pit. Wouldn't be surprised if some guys want to go long and have plenty of fuel there at the end. So already working lap 5. Laps are clicking very quickly as McLaughlin currently sits now about 0.8 of a second over Newgarden. Augustin Canapino, 21st place, seems to be the biggest mover right now, 6 spots. Gaines started 27th, currently 21st. 22nd starting Tony Kanaan, just ahead of them. As Kirkwood and Canapino are doing battle, they now settle into single file.
So now we are kind of in the feeling out stage. Sorry to interrupt.
Nope. Go ahead.
But we're going to see what these guys have got. These guys are trying to feel each other out. See what you got early. I think McLaughlin, he's probably obviously got the fastest car on track. From 4th to 1st, that was very impressive on that first lap, I think.
Definitely, and that is, not only has he gone from 4th to 1st, the gap between him and his original starting spot now is almost 4 seconds. McLaughlin found the lead early and has shown his power immediately. Definitely going to be the force to be reckoned with early here at Indianapolis.
I think he's stretching it out over Newgarden a little bit.
Yep.
I don't think...
Now up to over a second, about what it was to 1.1, now it's settled into right at about a second. Rossi almost a second half back off of Newgarden in 3rd. Then it's it's another second half back to 4th place Will Power. From Will Power to rounding out the top 5, Connor Daly, another second back. Daly 5.5 seconds nearly off the race lead. 33rd place, R.C. Anderson, 25 seconds, nearing already 26 seconds off the race lead. I give it less than 5 laps, Jay, and I think we'll see lap traffic if the trends continue.
Yeah, when IndyCar switched to this new package in 2018, everyone knew it was going to be a driver's race once again. This is turning out to be like an Indy 500 back from like the early 90s or so, where there's going to be a lot less like pack style racing mentality. It's going to be more about the driver and how clean they can keep that car through these 200 laps.
Get out to the lead, build a lead, maintain the lead, taste the milk. Seems and sounds like the key to success here for the drivers. Get to the lead, put a good distance between yourself and the cars behind you, run your race, and we'll see you in victory lane. Sounds like the game plan here for McLaughlin, now nearing a second half lead over Newgarden.
Scotty Mack and Newgarden, these two, they actually host a podcast together called Bus Bros, where they record from each other's motorhomes in the lot before races.
Speaking
So
of
they're good friends, obviously.
Speaking of other podcasters, let's talk about Connor Daly. Dirty Mo Media, Dale Jr. Download Speed Street podcast, highlighting the ins and outs week after week, highs and lows of the IndyCar series. You can check that out on Dirty Mo Media, wherever your podcasts are played. We are not affiliated.
Not yet.
Not yet. We do like money. Speaking of money, Connor Daly and the money team made a couple NASCAR starts. Earlier this year, made a Daytona 500 start. Unfortunately, some mechanical woes really hurt them in that 500-mile performance. So Connor Daly looking to rebound in a different car at a very different track for a very different 500-mile race as he currently sits P5. Let's look at some of the let's give some of the back markers a little bit of airtime. Jay, R.C. Anderson, 33rd, unfortunately getting close to being a lap down. Stephen Wilson, 32nd, the highest positioned female in the field, 31st place Catherine Legg.
I feel like we should talk about Stephen Wilson here a little bit. He's driving for I forget the name. I'm sorry. Dreyer Reinbold, I believe. Yeah, Dreyer Reinbold. He's driving for them. Dreyer Reinbold won the Chili Bowl a couple years back, or a year ago, I think. But Stephen Wilson, he's got donate for life on the race car this year. This isn't his actual 500 car. I couldn't find it. But Stephen, he lost his brother Justin to a crash at Pocono about 8 years ago. He's still racing in his honor. He almost won the 500 in 2018, but he had to come down for fuel and had to give up the race lead with about 2 laps to go. So Stephen, it'd be cool to see him have a great run today.
Good deal. As looking through the field now, I want to talk about Marco Andretti. You mentioned the Andretti curse earlier. Car number 98, only up 2 spots from his original starting position in P16. What's your news and info you got on the Andretti in the field?
So Marco, he's been trying super hard to get a win, and honestly, he's off to a pretty good start here today. I mean, he's only up 2 spots, but if he can keep going, if pit strategy can work out for him, he's got Brian Herta behind him with the Herta Autosport car.
Something is going on with Newgarden. Newgarden is caught behind R.C. Anderson. Sorry to interrupt. I was watching the split time, and McLaughlin pulled nearly a second away from Newgarden as Newgarden got caught behind R.C. Anderson. I want to take a moment to show lap times between McLaughlin and Newgarden here, working lap 15. Sorry, now let's go back to Jay there about Marco Andretti.
So Marco, he's off to a good start, up 2 spots. Sorry, he's up 2 spots from his original starting spot. 2006, his first ever 500. He lost it in the last maybe 300 feet to Sam Hornish Jr. 2012, he led the most laps, but wrecked late. 2013, he was up there, but I think fuel strategy caught him out. 2014, finished 3rd. He's been trying so hard to win this race. It means the world to him. If he can break the Andretti curse here today, that would mean absolutely everything. And the Andrettis have not won the 500 since 1969 when Mario won that race. Oddly enough, never changed tires throughout that whole race. But obviously a very different time.
Speaking
but the Andrettis just had so much trouble this year.
Speaking of different time, McLaughlin's last lap compared to Newgarden. The last couple laps, McLaughlin was
Got held up by Wilson.
got held up by a lot. Newgarden got held up on lap 14 by RC Anderson, lost almost half a second to McLaughlin. The last 2 laps, Newgarden has clicked back 1.6 seconds, basically. Newgarden gained half a second back on lap 15 and gained 1.2 seconds nearly on lap 16. So less than a second now between your leaders working lap traffic going to be a factor here today, as Scott McLaughlin still continues to lead over Newgarden. 1.1 seconds is the gap. Rossi now has joined the party. He's only about half a second off of Newgarden. Will Power a second and a half back off of Rossi. So your top 3 is starting to get spicy, as we are, what would you say? Definitely over half, nearing about the 2/3 mark of the fuel run.
We just had a very close call with Scott McLaughlin and Catherine Legg. I can't even explain how close this was, but McLaughlin about lost it under Catherine there, as here comes Newgarden, possibly for a battle for the lead.
Will Power looking to the inside there of Stephen Wilson, looking to make the move into one.
McLaughlin cannot get by Catherine Legg. Here comes Newgarden.
Newgarden and Rossi are going to close. Will Power having a tough way through lap traffic too. Stephen Wilson pinning Will Power to the inside. Will Power not been able to clear the 27, I believe that is, of Stephen Wilson. 24, excuse me, of Wilson. Scotty Mack continues to lead, as Newgarden is now caught behind Catherine Legg. Drafting down the front stretch. Scott McLaughlin not really pulling away. Legg continues to be a sore foot for Newgarden. No pun intended. Newgarden is going to have to make a move. McLaughlin continues to pull away. 1.2 seconds is the gap. Rossi, though, has not been able.
About to begin.
Connor Daly, Will Power, Stephen Wilson has created this battle. Connor Daly and Will Power both to the inside. Will Power is going to start to pull away now. Connor Daly going to have to dispose of car 24, Stephen Wilson. McLaughlin's lead now 2.2 seconds. Newgarden not been able to get around Legg. Rossi, though, hasn't really been able to capitalize. Only gained a couple tenths of that. 6/10 in between second and third. Will Power hasn't been able to capitalize much either, as Connor Daly and Pato Award battle here for 5th. Award drafting right up to the gearbox to Daly. Does not make the move there into the corner. They're coming up on the 24 of Wilson. .2 seconds is the gap. Newgarden needs to find a way around Catherine Legg. Not wanting to push the issue, though. Late into this run, tires are definitely a factor. Don't want to slip and ruin your day here.
Scotty Mack about to a half straightaway lead, I think I could say.
About 3.4 seconds is the gap. Catherine Legg has actually pulled back away from Newgarden now.
First stint. Now you know the car's got time to give it a little bit.
As Jay Barker is having some technical difficulties on his end, we brought the co-host, the Jay Barker robot, into the sound booth. Hope to hear from Jay in just a moment. All right, Jay. Looks like you got your mic fixed. Pass it off to you. What you got? As Newgarden makes the pass finally on Legg.
As I was attempting to say, this is about the point in time where you know what your car has. So now you have to cut back a little bit, I think. wait for this first stop to happen, and then you can really go ham on that throttle and see what this car can do on the next run, pretty much. That's about all you can do.
Scott McLaughlin, 3.25 seconds of a lead over Newgarden. His pit stop should be happening within the next 10 laps. Haven't seen anybody pull off currently watching live timing and scoring. As Marcus Ericsson, Felix Rosenquist have battled for 8th. Less than 0.2 separate them as they head here to the line of bricks. Just behind them, Pagenaud rounds out the top 10.
Big move back here for Alexander Rossi, getting by Catherine Legg, maybe in turn 2. Oh, close racing. Not able to get by her, though. And here comes Power.
Will Power still about half a second behind Rossi. Rossi sits in 3rd again, still trying to get by the 44 of Legg. McLaughlin has crossed the finish line. 25 laps in the books. 1/8 of the race is now complete. So what is that, 75 miles? My math is times 2.5. Or 65, 65.
Think so.
I don't do math. I went to public school. All I know is Scott McLaughlin leads by 1.9.
No, 75 miles is 30 laps, excuse me.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Newgarden now caught behind the 51 of Stingray Robb, the Rick Ware car, being much like their Cup Series counterpart, being a moving chicane or a roadblock. Tough break for Stingray, as one spot in position ahead of Stingray is the biggest loser so far, surprisingly, Renus VK. Minus 10 spots, currently resides in 29th, started 19th.
Unfortunate start for, if I remember correctly, he was last year's, he started on the front row last year, and he was very hyped up to possibly win that race, but lost it on cold tires after the first pit stop in turn 2, had a pretty hard knock into the outside wall.
Renus has your race leader, Scott McLaughlin, right behind him. So Renus VK in 29th is the last car on lead lap. We'll have to see.
He needs a yellow or something right now.
He needs a miracle yellow, or we're going to have to wait and see how pit stops cycle into this within the pit stop window. So if he does go a lap down, might be smart to go ahead and short pit, try to come back out towards the front end of the field here, as still not seeing any pit stops yet.
28 complete here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Looking to get some cloud cover here now, as again we'll flash that race info up. Track temp not reading still 87 degrees, partly cloudy, so 12-mile-an-hour wind gust. So some very dynamic track conditions here today. Renus VK, the last car on lead lap, just ahead of the race leader.
McLaughlin is struggling. I think I just saw him out of 4 have a little bit of a bobble. So you know these tires are squealing right now.
Tires are going away. Newgarden has actually gained about a second on McLaughlin. I think it was about 3.5 seconds was the gap there at max. So Newgarden is starting to catch him. Although Newgarden is caught behind the 51 of Stingray Robb. Watching McLaughlin now, a little wiggle there.
Signaling. Here it is. First stop of the day. Here comes McLaughlin.
Your leader is into pit. Is Newgarden going to stay out? Newgarden stays out. Watching Rossi.
Newgarden going to go one more lap.
Rossi stays out. Power stays out.
But the yellow submarine is in for his first stop of the day. I said
Not-
about lap 30 or so.
Not seeing any other leaders so far, so Scotty Mack is going to be the first one in. That should inevitably help him out to a lead here.
McLaughlin air jacks will go up. 4 tires and some Speedway Racing fuel. E85 is what we run on. And down and away.
Watching Newgarden now. Newgarden going to take it another lap.
Here comes Rossi.
Rossi is going to stay out. Nope. Rossi and Will Power are in.
Rossi
This should
and
start.
Power.
Connor Daly is going to go another lap.
Colton Herta and I think Elio.
Elio, Santino Ferrucci, Andretti, Jack Harvey, Christian Lundgaard. So currently it looks like Rossi, Power, Elio, Colton Herta, Santino Ferrucci, Marco Andretti, Jack Harvey, Augusto Canapino are all in. As Newgarden and Pato
Newgarden in this time. And here he comes.
There's the left-hand turn. Newgarden's in. That's going to hand the lead over to Pato, but he's going to come in too.
Got to go from 215 miles an hour down to 60. Tough task. It is not easy. Trust me, folks.
Most of your leaders are now in, first through ninth. Newgarden, O'Ward, Daly, Dixon, Rosenquist, Erickson, Pagenaud, Pillow, Rahal, Grosjean all in. Jack Harvey has left. Tony Kanaan now in. Kyle Kirkwood in. Santino
Newgarden has the pole sitter, has the very end. Sorry for interrupting.
No problem. Ed Carpenter has entered. Pato O'Ward, Connor Daly all have entered.
We got to find out where McLaughlin is. He is coming out of 4. There he is on the front stretch. This is easily going to be Newgarden, or not Newgarden. McLaughlin, excuse me.
Newgarden though going to come out not too far behind him. Dave Malukas is your race leader there. Is that a Hy-Vee car?
Yes, it is.
All right. Was able to catch a glimmer of that. He has a 2.8 second lead over McLaughlin. McLaughlin, though, closing in fastly as Malukas appears to... There's the lap. So it appears basically the whole field has pitted. Takuma Sato, Benjamin Pedersen, Catherine Legge have all done their pit stop. Devlin DeFrancesco's out. Takuma Sato has left pit lane. Rinus VK's in. Benjamin Pedersen is out. Stingray Robb has entered. Dave Malukas entered. Catherine Legge left. Devlin DeFrancesco is in. Stefan Wilson finally pits. Stingray Robb pits. There goes Dave Malukas. He's out. So pit stops have basically cycled. Scott McLaughlin leads by 5.3 over Newgarden. Then it's another 2.2 seconds back to Rossi. Rossi 7.5 seconds off the lead here. 33 coming to 34 complete. Race has been caution-free to this point.
So obviously McLaughlin the big winner off of that one.
For sure. Basically gained about 4 to 4.5 seconds on that pit stop. Now, mind you, unfortunately, though, looking at pit stop laps, McLaughlin pitted on 30. Second place Newgarden pitted 32. Third place Rossi pitted 31. Fourth place Will Power pitted 31. So the most laps on that run were 33, but the highest place car that went 33 laps was Dave Malukas in 25th. So 30 to 33 laps is the distance, as Joseph's Newgarden's last lap was the fastest lap of the race. His time goes purple, a 40.90 compared to McLaughlin's 41.1. Get a load of that, Jay Barker.
Very impressive stuff right now. Newgarden just got around the lap car of Benjamin Pedersen a little while back, and now we have 26 that remain on the lead lap. Takuma Sato going to be the next victim of McLaughlin.
Last lap, Newgarden 0.211 seconds faster. Newgarden was faster. Newgarden faster again by about 2.5 tenths. chipping away at that lead. Newgarden now within the 4-second bracket, 4.7 seconds behind your race leader. Now 4.6. Newgarden working the draft.
Scotty Mack with a dominating pace so far. Gotta wonder, maybe, did Mr. Penske bring his best crew for Scotty Mack this weekend? Because that pit stop was absolutely electric. See if they can keep that up all day.
Newgarden's definitely had the race speed, honestly, though, to compete. Looking at his last couple laps, lap 35 was the fastest lap of the race for Newgarden. Or was his fastest lap, 40.897.
3.9 seconds at the line is the lead for Scott McLaughlin.
Looking, Jay, at the last 5 laps, lap 34 through 38. Lap 34, Newgarden lost 4 tenths. Lap 35, he was 2 tenths faster. Lap 36, he was 2 tenths faster. The real kicker right here, lap 37, Joseph Newgarden was 0.641 seconds faster than your race leader. Last lap was 0.342 seconds faster than your race leader. So Newgarden is charging. As lap 39 gets completed here, we'll have to take a look. Newgarden was a little bit faster, 3/100ths faster that lap. So Newgarden definitely has some race speed. Have to see how it transpires here in the long run, as there is one lap car just ahead of Newgarden. It's going to be 27th place, Devlin DeFrancesco.
So coming off of turn 4 this time, the 100-mile mark is complete. 40 laps, 100 miles complete in our Indianapolis 500 sim. Scotty McLaughlin has led, I want to say, 37 of them. 36 or 37.
Just about all of them. Maybe lost a lap or two under the pit cycle and pretty much led from the drop of the green flag. Went from fourth to first, excuse me there. Pretty much the moment the green flag dropped. He is coming up on a lap car, though. That is going to be R.C. Anderson. This car, unfortunately, has been very off the pace. We do not implement a minimum speed rule, but if we did, R.C. Anderson would probably be out of contention here today. The other 32 cars have been pretty on par, so we'll have to see how that compares. So watching live timing and scoring, R.C. Anderson is about halfway through lap 38, and the leaders are about halfway through lap 41. So R.C. Anderson in the ballpark of 2 to 3 laps down already. We're not even through a quarter of the race. So very tough break for that team that is just recently been put together. Congratulations to them for making the field, of course, but definitely heartbreak at the same time, as they have had a very lackluster performance.
Indeed. As we see the gap now, the gap hasn't really changed a whole lot. I don't know if it's Francesco's fault there in front of Newgarden, but it stayed about the same, it looks like.
I'll play the devil's advocate here and say I don't think Devlin DeFrancesco has really had anything to do with it.
I don't think so either.
They're in front of Newgarden. I don't know if he's just running his race and just trying to maintain a pace, or if just hasn't had the speed to get into any contention. So just hasn't really made any noise here, as Scotty Mack is coming up on, I believe that is leg. That is, no, Takuma Sato, excuse me, 26th place. Takuma Sato, the last car on the lead lap. it appears on my screen. Lap 22. Here goes Scotty Mack to the inside, though, looking to put Takuma Sato a lap down.
Whoa.
As that gets spicy, Takuma Sato not wanting to go down without a fight.
That was a little bit close there. A
That
bit close
was-
for McLaughlin's comfort, I think. He
That-
backed off quite a bit there.
Samurai Jack makes a big move on Scotty Mack there, not wanting to go a lap down.
Look at all this traffic in front of those two, though.
Ahead of McLaughlin, you got Takuma Sato. Then it is RC Anderson. Ed Carpenter, tough break for him, 24th place. Ed Carpenter, Augustin Canapino, Callum Ilott, and Kyle Kirkwood, 21st, all ahead of your leader. Tony Kanaan, 20th place, not too far ahead of the leader. He was my pick. Unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to be out. Jay, who was your pick, and how are they sitting?
I picked Connor Daly. He is sitting in the 6th position right now. Anything can happen. We still have 3/4 of this race to go.
For sure, and as we look at Connor Daly, Scott Dixon is in that same frame. Dixon sits 7th.
There goes McLaughlin on Sato. Sorry to interrupt again, and I think he'll get it done.
Wheel to
Oh,
wheel.
Sato with the side draft down the backstretch, though.
Wheel to wheel down the backstretch. Takuma Sato is an Indy 500 champion, and he is proving that as he has been absolutely relentless
Oh, man.
towards your race
And here
leader.
comes Newgarden.
Newgarden now within half a second. Takuma Sato has absolutely butchered that lead.
Here comes Newgarden trying to get past that 26 car.
McLaughlin going to dive.
McLaughlin again.
McLaughlin out of the inside.
Newgarden around the outside. Here he comes.
Races for the lead. Less than a 10th separates them two. Newgarden
And
gets
you've
held
got
up.
a new leader out of turn 2.
Newgarden, by God. Well, I had my doubts, Jay Barker. Remember, I was monitoring them lap times about 10 to 15 laps ago. I kept saying Newgarden's a couple tenths faster here. He's a couple tenths faster there. Definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. And didn't end up necessarily having the fastest car, but he gained over 4 seconds over Scott McLaughlin, mainly because of the lap traffic. As we see here, looking at the broadcast, there, though, is a swarm of lap cars ahead of your race
That's what
leader.
I was saying earlier. And here comes RC Anderson again. Look out.
Newgarden's going to
Oh,
dive
he's
down
gonna get
low.
squeezed.
RC Anderson now going to be the pick. Here comes Scott McLaughlin. McLaughlin now is your race leader. RC Anderson held up Newgarden right ahead
Newgarden had nowhere to go on that one.
Right ahead of McLaughlin, unfortunately, though, is going to be Dave Malukas, Ed Carpenter, and Callum Ilott.
Oh, this is going to get spicy here.
We've been caution-free here as we near the quarter of the way mark.
Newgarden gets around Anderson.
McLaughlin to the outside.
Rossi slowly creeping into frame now.
McLaughlin gets around Ed Carpenter, and he's going to get by Dave Malukas as well. Callum Ilott, the next car on the chopping block for McLaughlin. Newgarden going to have to dispose of both of those. Rossi 2.69, nice seconds behind of second place, Joseph Newgarden. As McLaughlin has pulled away now 1.5 seconds over Newgarden. Newgarden is going to get around RC Anderson, finally it appears. Callum Ilott.
David Malukas, actually.
Thank you for clarifying. Callum Ilott going to have to face your race leader. McLaughlin had to back her down. Tucked behind Ilott. Newgarden there is behind Ed Carpenter, I believe. Yep, Ed Carpenter. Newgarden going to have to make a move here soon. Rossi goes to the inside. Will Power and Rossi battle for third and fourth. Give Rossi P3 now.
Now, don't look now out of turn 4, but the battle for 5th is on, and Scott Dixon has entered his name in the chat for this race.
Scott Dixon just, Pato Award, a wiggle there. That opened the bottom for Dixon.
Here comes Ericsson, defending champ.
3-car battle for 5th. Award, Ericsson, Dixon. Connor Daly.
Big run for Ericsson.
Connor Daly only about a second back watching the battle. Connor Daly, though, is in a pretty good spot.
Big run for Dixon, gets a triple toe. 3 wide. Oh, had to back out.
Excuse me there. So, had to sneeze.
And here comes Daly on Dixon now. Daly got to get by the lapper of Francesco. I'm not sure.
All right. Fixed my sneezes and my dying headset, so we are back good here in the CodyG TV broadcast studio. All right.
Will Power has taken 3rd position from Alexander Rossi, so it's a Penske 1-2-3 here at the Indianapolis 500.
McLaughlin leads by just under a second over Newgarden. Clear traffic in between them. Going to see what the draft does. Right ahead of McLaughlin, though, is the 77 of Callum Ilott. McLaughlin's still not been able to get around him. Will Power, though, about 5 seconds off the leaders. He's got to deal with Award and Rossi. Then it's about a second back to Marcus Ericsson. Newgarden starting to close in. The gap, 0.69 seconds. A nice lead for McLaughlin. McLaughlin's still not been able to get around Callum Ilott.
Newgarden right there for the taking.
7
Pato Award is up to 3rd now, excuse me.
Pato Award 3rd, but he's still 6 seconds off the lead. Half a second behind him, though, is Will Power.
Rossi is falling off. We got a 3-car battle for the 5th position. Here we go.
As we've seen McLaughlin pit on lap 30, so we should, in theory, see McLaughlin pit again here in about 5 laps.
Dixon around the outside for P6.
Dixon and Ericsson. Dixon on the outside, Ericsson down low. Ericsson's going to tuck behind. All this happening.
7, 8, 9 all together right there.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Don't forget Rossi just about half a second over Dixon. So 5, 6, 7, 8, or 5, 6, 7, 8th and 9th kind of battling there as well. It's Pagenaud's 10th. That pink machine. Newgarden starting to fall back just a little bit here late in this run. Now about a second behind McLaughlin. Callum Ilott has not been disposed of. McLaughlin has backed his pace down. I think him and Newgarden both have just started to pace themselves, run the race. They got a pit stop here within the next about 4 laps.
I was going to say, maybe the strategists have gotten together, called a truce for now, and then out of the pits, we're going to see some swinging maybe.
Working lap 56, so over a quarter of the way in the books.
Like I said, Mr. Penske has all 3 cars in the top 3. Or I'm sorry, I think Award is still 3rd. Yes, he is.
Yep,
Excuse
Award
me.
is 3rd.
Excuse
So 3 of the top 4, right? Award is not Penske.
Award is McLaren, as we're going to have the battle on for 4th. Rossi getting a good run off of 4 on Power.
Power still leads over Rossi. Will Power, Rossi, Dixon can all be seen in about the same frame. Marcus Ericsson not too far out, but then it's 1.8 seconds back to Connor Daly. So 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th might see a little bit of a shakeup here, as again, pit stops are only about 3 laps away, about 2 laps away really, as McLaughlin pitted on 30. We're now working 58, so he should have this lap, next lap, and pit. Newgarden hasn't really closed the gap, hasn't really lost it, right at about 1 second flat behind. 1.02 there it shows on the left hand of your screen. So McLaughlin leads by a second over Newgarden. Callum Ilott just ahead of your leaders. If for some reason you are just now tuning in, this is Cody Gump and Jay Barker here. We have recreated / predict the 2023 running of the Indy 500. This is the iRacing platform here using overlays and live timing and scoring from SDK Gaming. So if you've clicked this video and skipped to this point, this is your station identification. CodyG TV, CodyG, and Jay Barker here in the booth. At the time of the recording, we are predicting the Indy 500 here, trying to run a full-length sim of it, depending on when you watch this video. We'll see how this compares to the IRL Indy 500. So that
Of course, the Indy 500 has been sanctioned by the IRL since 1996.
Thank you. Nice little tidbit there. Working lap 60 here. Is McLaughlin going to pit? He pitted on lap 30 last time around.
Top two haven't given the signal in 3, so they're going to continue for a few more laps.
Interesting strategy here. Well, and that might be a valid point depending on how the scoring loop scores it. Looking at the last fuel stint was 30 laps, so I guess he completed lap 30 and pitted on 31. So that would mean he completed lap 60. He should be pitting this time, according to that race trend. Just wanted to clarify that. As he heads into turn 3 here, will we see any indication? Now, Jay, when you say they indicate that they're headed into pits, clarify what exactly that means. As McLaughlin
So
goes
you will
another
see them
lap.
in turn 3. They will move to the bottom on the short chute. So it's pretty sudden, and you'll see it.
So instead of kind of arcing the car out of turn 3 into the short chute, they'll keep it low, go through turn 4. Okay, thank you. So McLaughlin going to go long on this run. Haven't seen anybody pit. Longest run last time was 34 laps.
Here it is.
And there's the hip hip, Jay says. McLaughlin is going to bring it in. That would hand the lead. Newgarden's going to take another lap.
Got to get down to 60, and he does so.
So
Newgarden will take the lead back.
Pedal Award going to stay out. As I go to pit lane 2 cam. The broadcast is not showing anybody else in. McLaughlin all by himself. Let's go back here and watch Newgarden. Newgarden has the race lead by 8.2 seconds over O'Ward. And there's Newgarden's going to stay out. Augustin Canapino has pitted.
Will Power has signaled, as has Rossi. So here we go.
So first and second are going to stay out. Third and fourth at this time head in. Scott McLaughlin is out and in 17th place. Elio Castroneves has pitted. So has Colton Herta.
Newgarden coming in.
Will Powers entered.
And out of 4, here comes Newgarden.
Santino Ferrucci, Rossi, Lundgaard, Newgarden. Elio Will Power is out. Colton Herta has entered his pits. Rossi's out. Takuma Sato is in.
Dixon in, as is Erickson and Daly.
Paddle Award goes another lap.
Joseph Newgarden pulls into that last pit stall.
Scott
Air jacks go up.
McLaughlin up to 11th, and he's coming out of turn 4. He 2nd through 9th is basically in pit lane. So this should put McLaughlin back to the lead here once Award pits. Unless Newgarden might come out ahead of him. It's going to be close.
No shot.
It's going to be close though, but McLaughlin will be ahead of Newgarden. Not by much. Newgarden is blended back on the track. Newgarden once he gets up to speed, he'll be about 2 seconds off of McLaughlin, with Romain Grosjean in between. Paddle Award, your race leader, is now pit side. So Scott McLaughlin, in a matter of seconds, will be the race leader. Kirkwood out of pit lane. Marco Andretti has completed his pits, so has Pato Award. Dave Malukas is in. Kanan, Carpenter are out. Marinas VK is in. So McLaughlin now leads Newgarden by 1.9. Tires already showing the difference as they get by the 44 of Catherine Legg, like she's sitting still. I believe that's Pagano.
Marco Andretti, last car on the lead lap, trying to stay on the lead lap. McLaughlin around the outside.
Your leader.
But there's RC Anderson right there.
There it is. Catherine Legg and I believe the 24 of Wilson have pitted. Leader difference of tires right there. We've seen a big bobble from RC Anderson, excuse me. Scott McLaughlin's got some clean track a little bit ahead of him.
RC Anderson acting like the Enderman. You never want to see him. Out into turn 3. Newgarden getting held up.
Yeah, dicey. Callum Ilott, I believe that is there in the 77 right behind him.
And there they go.
Differences of tires and speed here. Newgarden's going to have to make a move. This is about to get spicy. We go almost 3 wide into turn 1 for Newgarden. He's going to slide up the racetrack. Looks to the outside there. Finally got around Christian Lundgaard. All this lap traffic is helping McLaughlin pull out to a 4.2 second lead over Newgarden. Newgarden not able to get around Anderson. Finally clear him, but now he's got Callum Ilott, I believe that is. Kirkwood, Marco is still on the lead lap barely.
Nope, Marco was lap down.
Augustine Canapino. Looking to go a lap down. 18 cars on the lead lap. Augustine Canapino is the last car on the lead lap at this time, but he sits just about 2 car lengths off the nose of your leader, the number 3 of McLaughlin. Newgarden 4 seconds off the lead. So we're having a very nice race so far. 69 laps completed, working lap 70 now. Been a very nice race so far. Haven't had any issues. Been caution free here as we are steadfast approaching the halfway point. 69 grueling laps completed. Been a very, very nice race so far.
Battle is on for 5th. Dixon and Rossi going at it.
Dixon or Rossi.
Good pass from Scott Dixon.
Dixon went to the inside.
Trying to go to the outside of his former teammate, Tony Kanaan.
Will Power 0.6 ahead of Dixon. Be interesting to see how that can happen. as
Oh, Dixon kind of stalled out. This is going to be big here. Look at this. 3-car race for 5th.
on the outside is Rossi. Dixon to the inside.
Marcus Ericsson right there as well for the taking.
Ericsson currently sits scored above Dixon on live timing and scoring. Rossi and Rossi there is in 5th. Will Power loving this.
Ericsson gets the spot now. Big run from Dixon. Here he comes down the front stretch. R.C. Anderson into pit road.
Finally.
Dixon not going to be able to get it. He's going to get alongside him, but that's about it, I think.
Tony Kanaan was the lone lap car in this picture that I was looking at. Trying to see who that was. Finally caught a glimpse. Tony Kanaan, my pick, the fan favorite, having a heartbreak performance. 25th position now. About 1 nearing 2 laps down. Newgarden is caught there behind the 27 of Kirkwood. Ahead of Kirkwood is going to be Marco Andretti, 19th place, a lap down. So McLaughlin leads. And we'll do a rundown to 18th now. We'll go through your lead lap cars. So it's Scott McLaughlin who leads currently over. Now looking at Newgarden, P2. P3 there, working around some lap cars, is Pato O'Ward. 4th to Will Power, not too far behind O'Ward. 5th is going to be
Battle for 4th.
5th will be Marcus Ericsson catching Will Power there. Not too far behind them is 6th place Scott Dixon. 7th place Rossi still in that picture, not too far behind. 8th place Connor Daly working around, I believe that's Catherine Legg. 9th place Elio Castroneves. Looking at top 10 now, Felix Rosenquist rounds out the top 10. Good run for Felix, started 7th, currently running top 10. Lost 3 spots net so far, so team and crew are a little upset about that performance. Wanted to at least hold their position, not go back. Only gone back a little bit, so nothing to hang their head on. Still riding E10. 11th goes to the pink black car, Simon Pagenaud. Looking 12th place, Colt Herta. Good to see Colt Herta having a strong day. Up 2 spots from their starting position, P12 Colt Herta. 13th place, Graham Rahal. Hasn't netted any positions yet, just had a pretty quiet day. Currently resides in 13th position, started 13th, and they currently ride there as we've completed 76 laps. Alex Palou is 14th. He's lost 3 spots off his initial starting spot, but team still in the front half of the field in contention. Very happy today with his performance. And 15th place, Santino Ferrucci. He's gained 1 spot since his starting position when the green flag dropped. He's up to 15th. Started 16th. A good run for Santino Ferrucci.
Sorry to interrupt, but we got a hell of a battle going on for the 4th position.
4th position, we got Will Power, Scott Dixon. Is that the lap car of Tony Kanaan? Nope. Kanaan is back in that. So 4th, we got
4 cars are in this for 4th.
Will Power, Dixon, Rossi, and Ericsson.
It's calmed down a little bit now, but they were really going at it for a second there.
As 4th 4th through 7th, all within a second half of each other. Working through some lap traffic here, as race leader Scott McLaughlin still leads now by pulling out to a 5-second lead over Newgarden. Not much lap traffic in between him. I believe it's just the 27, the 98 of Andretti, and then your leader. So not really, lap traffic really hasn't been a factor. Newgarden just hasn't had the speed this run. Very interesting to see. Now, Jay, testing my IndyCar knowledge here. IndyCars pretty much do 4 tire pit stops every stop, and the tires are sequenced in a set. Is that correct? So, could it be is it potential, just like a variance of a tire set or something? Could vary from run to run in terms of speed, or
I think so.
tires not really a variable?
Tires can be a variable. You know, we run Firestone Firehawks. We got the special Indy 500 edition tires on for this race only. They got the special decal on the side. I don't know if iRacing has that on there, but that's what it is in real life. Firestone does a very good job with IndyCar here. You rarely see a Firestone failure at all because it's a little dangerous for them to fail. But we've had a great relationship with Firestone and IndyCar. The first ever Indy 500 won by Ray Haroon was on Firestones. Yeah.
Very interesting knowledge from the Professor J. Barker.
I don't know about going that far, but
Hey,
whatever works.
give the people what they want. The Professor J. Barker, as Scott McLaughlin coming up on the lap car that is Agustin Canapino. $18 cars on the lead lap, barring Canapino going a lap down here in a matter of laps. Working lap 81, caution-free event so far. So the 2 pit stops, let's see if I can bring up what I want to see here. So looking at the leaders, looking at the graphics here, for McLaughlin, he pitted on lap 30 and lap 62. Newgarden pitted lap 32 and 64. So Newgarden has gone an extra 2 laps each run compared to McLaughlin. Looking at Pato Award, he went 32 and 65 for his run, so 32 laps and then 33 laps. Will Power went 31 laps and then pitted again on 63, so went 31 and 32. So about the ballpark of really 32 laps seems to be about the average as we look at the pit stop graphic. So we last pitted on 62, so we should see the lap or pit stops here in about 10 to 12 laps, about the ballpark of 94. My math is correct.
Yeah.
And then that should make it, so that's 94, and we're going about 34 laps. So that should make it about a 3 pit stop race to the end. Maybe 2 if they're good. Still haven't seen any cautions. That's been surprising for me, though. It's just above the leaders, Callum Ilott, and I believe that is Benjamin Pedersen. Pedersen battle. They're 2x2.
Oh, here goes McLaughlin.
Gets around Pedersen. Disposes of them quickly. Not even a factor. Working lap 84. An hour and a half into your broadcast so far. Appreciate everybody watching. CodyG, Cody Gump, and Jay Barker here at CodyG TV. 2023 IndyCar Indy 500 recreation on the iRacing Sim platform. Newgarden starting to maybe close a little bit. 3.8 seconds, 3.7 is the gap Oh, boy golly, Joseph Newgarden starting to click away. 3.4, 3.3, nearing the 3-second gap. Newgarden's found some speed here late, but there's a
As he did the previous run. I think
there,
that might be the difference in those newer tires, those 2-lap newer tires.
2 laps is a distance, but how much time is Newgarden going to click off of McLaughlin here as pit stops are basically not even 10 laps away? 2.9 seconds is the gap. If Newgarden can get the lead in the next 10 laps or so prior to pit stops, that's going to be, in my opinion, that's going to be the move he needs to do to win this race as they approach this pit stop here. Basically goes to the back half of the race. McLaughlin now pulled his lead back out a little bit, hits just over the 3-second mark. Graham Rahal got by Elio for 12th. They're side by side. That's a good battle right here, 12th and 13th. Colton Herta's in that picture too. Colton Herta, Graham Rahal, Elio Castroneves. As Rahal is going to be the best car in that picture. They work by RC Anderson. Rahal leads over Elio. 13th place Colton Herta.
Scott McLaughlin has been putting them down and throwing them away as he has lapped up to the 15th position now, and he's going to get by Ferrucci here on the front stretch, I believe.
That is the 14 of
Not
Santino
yet.
Santino Ferrucci. Ferruccio. Can't believe I messed that one up. I am a big Santino Ferrucci fan. He ran Chili Bowl
Couple times.
couple times. Big props to him.
As did Connor Daly.
Connor Daly has too. Tony Kanana, but Tony Kanan's got some midget experience, I think. I think he ran the BC 39 here at the dirt track last year.
He tested a car.
Tested.
For the BC
okay.
39.
Okay. Some mad props to him.
Gaggle of cars in front of McLaughlin now.
That's going to open the door for Newgarden. Newgarden closing in within 2 seconds of a lead, but he's getting held up there by Benjamin Pedersen.
Boy, oh, 3 wide. Oh, that's the danger spot at Indy. Okay.
RC Anderson about grabbed the wall there. McLaughlin looking anywhere he can. Stingray Robb looks super, I believe that, yep, Stingray Robb, super off the pace there. Newgarden 7/10ths behind. He's capitalizing.
Here he comes.
Here's Joseph.
Almost contact in front of McLaughlin. Here comes Newgarden.
It stops within about the next 5 laps. This race could start to shape up the second half of the race.
Oh, Newgarden got held up.
Newgarden got held up by RC Anderson. He's going to have to make a move. He's thinking about going to the outside, Although McLaughlin hasn't had much better luck. He finally slingshots around. Newgarden's going to slingshot around now too. Got a pair of lap cars battling side by side ahead of him though. Newgarden gets the slingshot down to the inside. It's going to help him get by. That is Romain Grosjean and Jack Harvey. Scott McLaughlin.
Oh, Grosjean had a big wiggle.
15 cars on the lead lap. Santino Ferrucci is the last car on the lead lap, just ahead of your race leader, Scott McLaughlin. 90 laps going to be in the books now.
225 miles complete. Ferrucci got a lucky break with that gaggle of cars. He's back on the lead lap.
Looking at McLaughlin running down the back stretch at about 220. We're seeing about 230s, 240 nearly in qualifying, so cars are
well, they also turned the boost up for qualifying.
Definitely a lot more trimmed out here.
Yeah.
Wanted to bring that up. Newgarden has lost The leader McLaughlin now sits 2 seconds back. Pit stops should be coming in about the next 3 laps. Let's bring up the pit stop lap time bar here. McLaughlin pitted lap 30 and lap 62, so he went 30 laps and 32 laps. Newgarden has gone 32 laps each run. Award went 32, then 33 laps. Power went 31 laps, then 32 laps. Dixon went 32, then 32. So lots of 32s in there seems to be the common number. So last pit stops were 62, so 94 to 96. So I think, my opinion, we'll see what the telltale signs are. I think McLaughlin will complete one more lap. I think he'll pit on 95 coming to 96. Arc the car out, so he's not going to pit this time. Jay, have you seen any indications of pit stops throughout your...
Not yet. I think we're just waiting for that lap 94 mark or so.
Working lap 94 here. I think McLaughlin will pit next, not this time around, but next. I think he'll complete lap 94, pit on 95 coming to 96. Is my bold prediction. His last run, though, he went an extra lap or two long, so these guys are starting to pit stops. They're starting to squeeze those extra couple laps here now to make sure they can get to the end. McLaughlin completes lap 94. Newgarden stays out. Pato Award might be interesting. I'm watching him. Nope, I was fooled. 15 cars on the lead lap. Santino Ferrucci has pulled away from your race leader, Scott McLaughlin. 2.4 second lead for McLaughlin over Newgarden. In between them is going to be Jack Harvey. I think Scott McLaughlin.
There's a signal.
There's a signal. McLaughlin is going to pit. That's what I said. McLaughlin is in. Watching Newgarden. Newgarden, he's gone about a lap or two longer. Watching Pato Award. He goes into 3. Pato Award should be coming. No, I'm bamboozled again by Pato. Somebody else, Augustine Canapino has entered the pits as well. Canapino is 27th position and falling back. Scott McLaughlin is in. Elio's in. Colton Herta is in as well.
Newgarden going to stay out another lap.
He's going to need a big gap when he comes to pit. He's going to go another circuit. He's pulling away from Pato O'Ward. I think O'Ward.
Power going to be coming in, as is Rossi.
Erickson. Dixon stays out. Felix Rosenquist comes in as well. Pagenaud joins the mix, as does Graham Rahal. Those are the last cars this time around. Newgarden continues to lead. Scott McLaughlin is 12th.
Newgarden coming in.
Newgarden coming in. I will keep eyes on Pato Award as he goes down the backstretch. Currently
So
held.
there's Newgarden.
Pato Award caught behind Callum Ilott. Into 3 and out of 4. Pato is going to make another lap. So Pato here should take your race lead. Dixon's going to stay out. Newgarden's in. Erickson's in. McLaughlin now P5.
Out of turn 4, here comes McLaughlin.
I think Pato and Dixon should hit this time, barring any lap
And
traffic.
McLaughlin is going to easily take the the provisional lead back. It's going to be a big lead for McLaughlin on this stint.
Pato's going to stay out another lap. Callum Ilott has entered pit lane, as did Ed Carpenter, Roman Grosjean, Scott Dixon's in, Benjamin Pedersen is in, Marcus Ericsson, Christian Lundgaard, Tony Kanaan, all pit side. Callum Ilott is in, Grosjean is out, Pedersen is now out, Ed Carpenter is in, Devlin DeFrancesco is in, Scott Dixon is in, I don't know if I highlighted him, Tony Kanaan entered, Ed Carpenter's out, Grosjean's out, Scott Dixon's in, Devlin DeFrancesco is in, Kanaan is now out. This should be the hip it's looking like for Pato. Pato down low, Pato is in. So that's going to hand the lead to McLaughlin, who has a 3.5 second lead over Newgarden once they get by Pato. Still about an 18-second lead for Pato. He's nearing his pit box. Lap time, you're really starting to see your leaders catch him, as McLaughlin is basically now caught him. So there is your pass for the lead. 16 cars on the lead lap. Santino Ferrucci has cycled right back out to in front of Scott McLaughlin.
You gotta wonder, will those 4 laps maybe come into play later for Pato?
Very well could.
That's 4 laps less on fuel that he needs to do.
So Pato is coming out, blending onto the track. So we have 16 cars on the lead lap. Now 15 as Jack Harvey and Dave Malukas go a lap down as they pit. So Santino Ferrucci is going to be interesting to see if he continues to stay in front of the leaders, and barring any cautions or how the pit cycle happens, it's going to be interesting to see that happen. As Newgarden has already
had a huge run off of 2.
Oh yeah, already gained 2 seconds. I'm glad we caught that. Let's take a look at let's go to McLaughlin here. Newgarden was 1.7 seconds faster on lap 100 and 0.4 of a second faster for Newgarden the last lap.
So we are officially halfway through the Indianapolis 500.
Halfway home in the creation on the sim of the 2023 Indy 500.
We got a gaggle of cars in front. Here we go again.
So looking ahead of McLaughlin, it is R.C. Anderson.
Big run for Newgarden. Here he comes.
And Devlin DeFrancesco. Your race is for the lead.
Oh, man.
Big move last minute there for Newgarden.
Newgarden he's got to get the inside now. Oh, not good enough.
Anderson putting the block on second place Newgarden. Newgarden
that's rough for Newgarden.
Newgarden not been able to slingshot his way around Anderson. This is opening the door for McLaughlin to pull away, but McLaughlin's only gained about a 10th or 2 in that exchange. Clean track now between the leaders. All this happening 15 and a half seconds, above third place Will Power.
So it's back to a Penske 1, 2, 3 now.
Connor Daly up to 4th now after those pit cycles though. But he's got Pato O'Ward hot on his heels, and Marcus Ericsson and Rossi. So a battle of 4th through 7th, all less than a second separates them. Going to be interesting to follow that through. McLaughlin now coming up on the lap car of Devlin DeFrancesco. 15 cars on the lead lap. Santino Ferrucci still has a good little bit of a lead ahead of your race leader. he can keep some lap cars in between him and McLaughlin, Ferrucci might pull off a surprise victory at this point. So we definitely had our picks, Jay. I picked Tony Kanaan. He's running 26 right now, not having the best of days. Your pick was it Connor Daly?
Yes, sir.
Connor Daly P4. So we both gone over our picks. Let's go over the people that have kind of surprised us the most, whether it's good or bad. Who in a good way has surprised you the most? And I will take the villain, if you will. So who's been
So,
your superhero of the race so far?
so honestly, it's going to be really cliche, but Scott McLaughlin, I did not expect this team to do that well as they have today. This is only his third 500. He's obviously got the best team behind him, but his past 500 results have not shown that. But this year, he is leading. He has led the most laps. I think he's just clinched that title for this year. See if he can keep it going for the next 90, 95 laps.
The villain, if you will, for me, the guy that's kind of not made any noise or lost a couple positions or just not really been in the news. I'm gonna pick one of Jay's personal favorites here. I'm gonna go with Marco Andretti. Andretti currently rides in 18th, hasn't netted any positions currently. Now, mind you, in their current position, they haven't gone back. He started and is currently running 18th. So, as Jay talked about earlier, the famous Andretti curse. Just really wanting to see maybe Marco kind of pull off the upset and break the curse, but he's 18th place now, at least a lap down, maybe two. So Marco Andretti's day is inevitably all but done. So tough break for the Andretti camp. Have to see how this plays out. 15 cars on the lead lap. Ferrucci now with a good bit of gap. There's Ferrucci. There's McLaughlin. Santino Ferrucci continues to hold his own.
Now, I just want to point out the last, I want to say, 2 stints off of pit road, McLaughlin has been ahead by quite a bit. But this one here, Newgarden is right smack dab right there with him in the same frame as him.
That's for sure. Now, mind you, Newgarden came out like 3 or 4 seconds behind and immediately closed the gap. I think lap traffic was the big factor. Both of those guys kind of pitted, fairly early. So as they were coming out, or the way the pit stops happen, a bunch of lap cars kind of came out in front of them. Because since they came early and a lot of cars came late, those cars kind of held them up as they got back to the track. So if Newgarden and McLaughlin pit together and stay close, this is definitely the race for the lead. As I had to sneeze there off camera.
He's count number 3, I believe.
Do what now?
Sneezed count number 3, I believe, for today's broadcast.
It is not easy being wheezy, my friend. As speaking of easy and breezy, Scott McLaughlin's performance, man, he's been out like a walk in the park here. Just a breeze, just a Sunday stroll, a walk in the park.
Here we go. He's got some momentum on Francesco. Francesco. Goes to the outside of him. Here comes Newgarden. Newgarden right there with him, trying to stay in his wake down the front stretch. 90 laps to go this time. Joseph Newgarden's got the whip to her in turn 2. He's going to have some momentum, I think. Here he comes.
Here comes Newgarden.
Here he goes for the move in 3.
Newgarden making a move to the inside.
Oh, Wiggles!
Shuts the
McLaughlin
door.
holds on.
Less than a tenth between the two now. Newgarden
Here
going to
goes
get the
Newgarden
draft
once again. A lot of momentum into one.
Side by side.
Oh, not yet.
Corner entry. Newgarden just can't get him. The draft has been really good, though, for Newgarden. Gets that run, and then just kind of starts to lose Scotty Mack. Now the gap is half a second. Newgarden's going to have to catch the draft, build a run, time it properly, and make the move. Kind of surprised to see Newgarden drop that much off the lead with one botched move.
Yeah, aerodynamics is everything around here. It's probably pretty obvious to point that out, but
Scott McLaughlin it's probably helping him though, as it looks like he's finally catching Santino. Yeah, finally catching some air probably off of Santino Ferrucci just to have ahead of your race leader. So
see what Newgarden can build back up here.
1.16, 1.7 is the gap. 1.19. Working lap 114. Now back within a second is Newgarden, as McLaughlin is reeling in Santino Ferrucci, 15th place, last car on the lead lap. Colton Herta, Simon Pagenaud, Alex Palou, Elio Castroneva is really not that far out of the lead. Their gap back to the leader is about 39 seconds, so they're within, I would say, about 5 seconds ahead
Here
of the
comes
leader.
Newgarden.
Newgarden building a run. He's now within half a second, within 3/10 actually. Newgarden's going to have to make the move, though. Racing
Down the
for the
back
lead.
stretch, here he comes.
Now within 2/10. Newgarden can catch him. Passing him is a different factor.
Correctamundo. Down into turn 4. Newgarden just staying right above that white line. And here he goes.
That lap car, though. Santino Ferrucci. What's Santucci going to do? That's Colton Herta's right there in front of your race leader.
Oh, Newgarden had to back out, but he goes to the outside. He's going to get a good run through the middle of the corner now.
They're going to clear by Colton Herta and Ferrucci. Next car to go a lap down, 13th place, Simon Pagenaud, but it gets single file and spaced out just ahead of your leaders. Alex Palou up there in 12th too, that green car that was on your screen. Pink car of Pagenaud. RC Anderson has completed some pit stops. Not sure what happened there. Might have been some contact back here. Watching some replay footage. Not sure what happened there. Go back live and to your leader.
So Newgarden, he fell back a little bit, but he's trying to get the momentum built back up. It's going to take a few more laps, though, I think.
Your leader, McLaughlin, though, not really catching Pagenaud. Pagenaud is 13th, the last car on the lead lap. We've been caution-free here. It's very interesting, though, to I will notate this and kind of talk a little bit here of the iRacing kind of side of things. So our AI skill spread is set from 65 to 125%. So basically, half to insane, from pretty high level rookie to professional. So the fact that there is that high of an AI spread, and we've got 118 laps now complete without a caution. I don't know about you, Jay Barker, but I am extremely surprised that this race has not had not even a single yellow.
And we still have 13 cars on the lead lap, and if we get a caution, any one of those 13 is going to be a factor in this race.
For sure. Most of the field is only one lap down. From 14th place Romain Grosjean all the way to 27th Takuma Sato, they're only one lap down. So, barring a caution, we could have most of the field back on the lead lap. Devlin DeFrancesco, Benjamin Pedersen, Stingray Robb, Stefan Wilson, Catherine Legg are 2 laps down. RC Anderson looks to be about 7 laps down approximately. Watching live timing and scoring, RC Anderson working lap 112 and a half. Leaders working 119 and a half. So about 7 laps down approximately for RC Anderson according to timing and scoring. Very tough break for that RC Anderson team. Pagano holding his own. Newgarden and McLaughlin not really battling anymore. Have you noticed that? I want to bring up the pit stop lap counter. So they last pitted at 95 and 97. We can go, 32 laps? So what would that be, about 127 to 130?
127, 128, in that range.
So we're about...
Newgarden got a good run off of 2. Here he comes.
So we're about 6 to 7 laps away from pit stops. And there should be, 2 more stops?
Yeah.
Pit stop about 130 should get you up to about 160. Should get you in the ballpark of 190, and that should get you the ballpark of home. So 2 more pit stops.
Now, I did mention those later laps that Pato Award stayed out. If we add that up,
that is true.
He stayed, 4 laps more than McLaughlin?
The last pit stop for Pato Award was lap 99. McLaughlin pitted on lap 95. So Award, for 5th place Pato.
Through 2 pit stops, that's 8 laps.
So he's basically knocked
off. Could he do that last stop, that second to last stop in the 160s? Could he do that and make it the rest of the way and jump even these 2 on pit strategy?
Very well close. Good call there, Jay Barker.
That is exactly what Alexander Rossi did in 2016 to win the Indianapolis 500, the 100th running of it. So we got a bunch of storylines here going into the closing stages of this race.
It's been clean and green so far, but that doesn't mean that there's a lack of stories. One thing, speaking of kind of I wouldn't say a lack of story, but just a lack of attention. Very quietly, who's got up into 3rd place and around Connor Daly? Will Power. And not only that, Connor Daly is almost 18 seconds behind him. But then Connor Daly, Pato O'Ward, Alexander Rossi, Marcus Ericsson are all within a second of each other. But then it's only another 8/10 back to Scott Dixon and Felix Rosenquist. So about 4th through 9th are in the picture. Speaking of Pato O'Ward and his fuel run, I don't know if you caught it. He just got by Connor Daly for 4th.
How about that? Stefan Wilson in front of him, and he goes around Wilson, and the race is on now for these 3 cars, 4 now.
And as you say that, I do want to highlight, Jay, Joseph Newgarden just got a 0.2 of a second run on McLaughlin here. Should see pit stops within about the next 4 laps for your leaders. Let's see. I expect McLaughlin to pit, though, before Newgarden. Newgarden has seemed to go about 2 laps more than McLaughlin.
Now, I also want to point out, if we do stay green, those 2 laps, that'll multiply into 4 in the next 2 stops. He will be able to take less fuel, which is less time and less weight in the car on that last pit stop. Can he jump McLaughlin at the end, too?
Might be. Pato O'Ward, though, in 4th, sitting in the catbird seat. But Pato O'Ward, and a weird thing to say, is in 4th place. He's 31.5 seconds off your race lead. But Simon Pagenaud is 42.5 seconds ahead in technicality of your race lead, or your leaders are 42.5 seconds ahead of him in theory, but haven't lapped him. So in theory, they're about 10 to 11 seconds away from the top 5. I don't think it'll be a factor this pit run. Should start seeing pit stops. I think we'll see McLaughlin come in on lap 128. He'll run 127 through. 13 cars remain on the lead lap. Augustine Canapino, the first car to pit from 20th, 1 lap down. How about that, Jay?
Yeah, he pitted, I think, on the same lap as McLaughlin last time. As we are about to have something go on for the lead here. Look at the gaggle in front of the leaders.
Got really dicey there with Pagenaud and Palou. As McLaughlin
gets lapped.
He's going to go to the inside. Should let Newgarden. First car to pit from the lead. Will Power has pitted now from 3rd.
Interesting call for Will Power.
Will that bring in McLaughlin or Newgarden this lap?
McLaughlin signaling. Here we go.
McLaughlin. I don't know. That it might bring Newgarden. Nope. So Newgarden's probably going to go pit on lap 131. That's going to bring, of all people, Santino Ferrucci in with the leader. Santino Ferrucci was one of the first cars, I believe, a lap down. McLaughlin's pitted. Will Power was the first car to pit. He's already completed his pit stop. Unfortunately, at the moment, he's a lap down in 15th. Behind your race leaders. Scott McLaughlin has left. Elio's in. Alex Palou, Colton Herta, Jack Harvey. Ferrucci has completed his pit stop. Kyle Kirkwood has done one too. Marco Andretti is in.
Up to 4 on the sneeze count now.
How did you know? Oh, that's right. Jay Barker has me in his ears even when I mute myself from the broadcast. So the Cody sneeze count is now at 4 as Newgarden leads over Pato O'Ward. O'Ward 25 seconds off.
And here he comes.
There's Newgarden to pit.
Now we got to see what Pato does.
Pato has stayed out 4 laps longer than the leaders. Rossi,
I'm just running some numbers through my head, and if I'm correct, Pato is going to be on fumes at the end. He might be able to be skipping that last pit stop. So if we do not get a caution, Pato could be your race winner. But at the same time, if the leaders take tires on that last pit stop, it's going to be every man for himself maybe. Because Pato is going to be on old tires in the last 10 laps.
Scott Dixon pitted on 98. He has not pitted again. Very few of your leaders
I think
have.
Pato is signaling. So now he's 1 lap short. He needs to gain another lap throughout the next 2 runs in pit strategy.
Pato's in, Scott Dixon's in, Marcus Ericsson's in. That should give the lead back to Scott McLaughlin over Joseph Newgarden. This time, as it cycles through, there's going to be about a 4-second gap between the two of them. Last time in the last run, though, before they pitted, the lead was about half a second between McLaughlin and Newgarden. So going to be interesting to see how that transpires. As Will Power, I believe Will Power has taken some serious time off the leaders. He's now
I was
only
about to point that out. I saw him, and they were all on the same straightaway up there.
he's now losing a bunch of time as the leaders are in clear traffic, and Will Power is caught behind a mass of cars. So Newgarden, though, McLaughlin. All right, we've both been quiet in the booth. Jay, I've been watching McLaughlin. Who you been watching?
Well, same to be honest, but I'm trying to think of if Will Power can keep on the strategy that he's still on and still pick up time, could he be a factor at the end of this race?
It's hard to say. Only 9 cars remain on lead lap. Marcus Ericsson just above your race leader. Him and Felix Rosenquist less than half a second between each other. Scott Dixon sits 7th, just about a half a second, or about 3 seconds ahead of them. Connor Daly, Scott Dixon battle 6th and 7th. There's half a second between them. Then it's 3 seconds from them up to Rossi. Pato Award sits 4th, about 27 seconds off your race lead. McLaughlin back, or Newgarden back off of McLaughlin now by 4.5 seconds, catching, I believe that's Pagano. No. It's Elio Castroneves.
So they're still both on the same straightaway. McLaughlin's about half a straightaway up on him.
Will Power continues to lose time, caught in lap traffic. He'll be in danger of going a lap down at this trend. Working on lap 137 here for your race leader, Scott McLaughlin over Joseph Newgarden. Will Power finally starting to get through some lap cars. Currently sitting at 2 hours and 8 minutes, now 9 minutes into the recording of this video, working lap 138 here of the Indy 500 recreation on iRacing for 2023, brought to you by Cody Gump and Jay Barker, CodyG TV here. 9 cars on the lead lap. They are Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden, Will Power, Pato Award, Alexander Rossi, Connor Daly, Scott Dixon, Felix Rosenquist, and Marcus Ericsson. Ray Hall, the first car a lap down. Graham Rahal, Elio Castroneves, Simon Pagino, Romain Grosjean, Santino Ferrucci, Jack Harvey, Alex Blow, Colton Herta, Kyle Kirkwood, Marco Andretti, Augustine Canapino all one lap down. Dave Malukas, Ed Carpenter, Christian Lungard, Takuma Sato, Callum Ilott, Renus VK, Tony Kanaan, Devlin DeFrancesco, Benjamin Pedersen, and Stefan Wilson appear to be 2 or 3 laps down. Catherine Legg, Stingray Bob appear to be about 3 to 4 laps down. RC Anderson is about 8 laps down, approximately per time scoring. Jay, you've been quiet. Have you been working on your Jay Barker
And
bit? Your Jay Barker
I've been
bits?
running some numbers, and if Pato Award can just give me 2 more good laps on fuel mileage, Pato will win this race. But he needs to be in the draft of either a lap car or someone in front of him or something to just put air under that car and keep it glued to the ground and maybe help him run like half throttle or something.
As you say that, he about gets dicey with Marco Andretti there. He's now going to start to catch some draft off of Kyle Kirkwood, actually. Kirkwood in 18th place, a lap down. I'm kind of surprised, though, by Newgarden. The last couple runs, he was able to either run down McLaughlin or just kind of stay with him. As we watch the scoring tower on the left, Newgarden continues to lose more and more time, but as we watch him, the sad part is now he's in clean air. He's in not dealing with any traffic or anything like that. So it's kind of interesting for me to see that. But looking at, I got the last 5 laps up here on the broadcast. Newgarden continues to be slower. Looking at the last couple laps, he's been 2 to 3 tenths the first 4 laps. His last lap, Newgarden was half a second slower than McLaughlin. So, could that be fuel saving?
Could be. McLaughlin just encountered RC Anderson, just got past him, and he also got by Marcus Ericsson to put 8 cars on the lead lap now.
Good call. Felix Rosenquist, the last car on lead lap. RC Anderson is going to pit. RC Anderson is on lap 134. The leaders are on 142. So that's about 6 to 8 laps, depending on the variance between timing and scoring on my end versus what's true on the broadcast. Again, when I say laps down, I'm looking at live timing and scoring, and it's very approximate because it tells me, it doesn't just say -1 lap. Like on my end, it shows RC Anderson is on lap 135 and 135.1 laps complete compared to the leaders are on 143. So doing the rough math, trying to approximate it, usually within a couple laps or 2. As we just saw there on the ticker, RC Anderson was scored 7 laps down. I was calculating about 8 based upon lifetime and scoring. So Newgarden 6 seconds off the lead now. As I think Elio's going to be in danger. Is Elio the last car? No, Felix Rosenquist, excuse me. He's in danger of going a lap down. Jay Barker, are you still with us? What's your reportings? Who are you keeping an eye on?
I've been watching Felix Rosenquist here at the end, and I'm just thinking about the irony that Team Penske ran that very scheme throughout all the 90s and a little bit of the 80s and the early 2000s, and now that car is about to get lapped by Team Penske in Scott McLaughlin, who actually, Rick Mears, got one of his wins in that very scheme.
A full circle moment here at the square-shaped track. Very interesting little bit of trivia there, as Will Power quietly continues to sit in third, about 30 seconds off the race lead. Barring anything crazy, man. I tell you what, my Cody Gump wants to watch, brought to you by America's Best Eyewear, is going to be Willpower, man. I think I better clean my lenses here and adjust these old bifocals, but I'm keeping one eye on Scotty McLaughlin. I'm keeping one eye on Newgarden. And if I had a third eye, I'd be keeping it on Willpower. Because Willpower is... I think Willpower is going to make some noise and shake this thing up before it's all over.
I will say the captain, Roger Penske, he can't be frowning on anything now.
Well, should be is that, if I'm not mistaken, it's what, 1, 2, 3 Penske?
Yes, it is.
Good deal.
As we're going to have some lap traffic here for your leader.
Rosenquist just got around Dixon for 7th. That is literally right in front of your leader.
Here comes McLaughlin. How big would this be for the confidence here? Lapping Scott Dixon, the man who has led the most laps around the oval here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Scott Dixon, though, really has not been a force to be reckoned with today in that's Ganassi, correct?
Yep.
And like, see, Ganassi versus Penske. Penske's been so dominant today, been in the top 2 the whole race, top 3 for a bunch of the races. We see Ganassi's Scott Dixon there with a big wiggle.
Oh, he's still holding on.
Dixon there in 8th is the last car on the lead lap. Marcus Ericsson.
Here comes Ericsson.
Ericsson wanting to put himself back on the
big
lead lap
run in
and does.
turn 3. Wow.
Too wide though for 8th and 9th, just ahead of your leader. Joseph Newgarden not able to capitalize yet though. Still 5.2 seconds behind the race leader.
And here we go. Dixon going to go a lap down now, I believe. Well, no. McLaughlin had to get out of it. I think marbles are starting to form in turn 4.
Yeah, I've
to
noticed.
The point to where you can't really pass around the outside.
And I have noticed that if you, I don't know how it is on your end, Jay. Looking at our fine cameraman here, if we really look at the nose of, if I can find the proper camera I am looking for, there's a lot of rubber, it looks like, throughout the number 3 of McLaughlin. If you can get a good look, I got the million-mile-per-hour drone doing the rear chase cam of Scott McLaughlin, and man, that thing looks like it's a camo paint scheme littered with little black dots of rubber on it. So tires are definitely tires and rubber are definitely littering the Indianapolis Motor Speedway here.
50 laps to go, 125 miles remain in the Indianapolis 500. Scott McLaughlin has led most of it as Newgarden getting around another lap car. Newgarden is gaining, I think, a lot.
Newgarden 1.3 seconds now behind the leader as we have been doing the tire debate. Could McLaughlin be in a little bit of a fuel save? Newgarden.
Oh, big move from Newgarden. Wow. Oh, not Cody. He can't hold it. Wow.
As that is Graham
Rahal.
Graham Rahal just in front of Newgarden. Now, Jay, the fine producers up in the booth have showed the pit stop graphic for me. Let's talk about it here. McLaughlin last pitted on 128. Newgarden on 130. Pato O'Ward went on 131, and as did Marcus Ericsson on 131. So barring one more pit stop, so they're going about 32 laps. So they should be pitting about lap 62. So that's going to take them to 94. So they're going to be about 6 laps short, right?
Yeah, this last pit stop, it's going to be very interesting to watch. Because if Newgarden can go 2 laps more again, as he's been doing all day, he does not have to pack as much fuel in that race car, letting it be lighter, and we might have a shootout these last 3 laps.
Paddle Award might be in the catbird seat there too. Continuing to chop time off. He was at one point 30 some seconds back. Now he's in the ballpark at 24. Let's not count out the silent sleeper here, Will Power, riding in third, about 24 and a half seconds off the lead, continuing to cut down time.
And obviously caution can change anything.
For sure. As we look at Will Power's times, Newgarden has continued to be faster, but the last 2 laps, Will Power has gained 1.5, or Newgarden continues to be faster by about a second and a half to 1.2 seconds the last 2 laps. So interesting to say the least. Now, Jay, do a quick refresher of my mind here. McLaughlin, Newgarden are from where?
So Scott McLaughlin is from New Zealand, raced supercars for a while before coming to America to race IndyCar. He is, I believe, a 2 or 3-time V8 Supercars champion in Australia. He's won the Bathurst 1000 a few times, I believe. And Joseph Newgarden is from Nashville, Tennessee.
Very interesting. What about Will Power? What's the backstory on Will?
Will Power is from Toowoomba, Australia. He's actually from not too far where our good buddy Isaac Nichols is from.
Shout out
Brisbane.
to Isaac. Shout out to Isaac.
Yeah.
As Will Power, I believe he's about to lap Alex Blow there. Alex Blow in 16th. Polo is Brazilian? Is that right? Or am I
He is
butchering
Mexican.
it? Mexican. Okay, I was close. I shouldn't say close, but I'm about to get canceled when this video gets put on YouTube, just not knowing my geography.
If you've made it to this far,
yeah. If you've made it to this far, thank you. Don't cancel me. The eight people on YouTube that might stumble their way upon this video. Working lap 156. McLaughlin continues to lead over the indigent. I don't even know how to say the word even more. Over the Mr. American, Joseph Newgarden. Trying to say the word indigenous, but I don't think I was right either.
With the win today, McLaughlin would be the first Kiwi since 2008 to win the Indianapolis 500.
The Indianapolis 500?
Yep.
Indianapolis? I'm sorry, buddy. Had to pick on you.
Yeah.
Much like these cars, the announcers are starting to run on fumes or something at this point. The gearbox and the brain ain't working too well.
Now, can you tell me the last Kiwi to win the Indianapolis 500?
All right, give me a hint. Are they at least in the field?
Yeah. Might be right in front of your face.
Is it Will Power?
No?
No.
That would be Mr. Scott Dixon.
Dixon, yeah. I was thinking he was Australian, not New Zealand.
Now, he was born in Australia.
See, we're fake newsing already.
Race for the lead. Here we go.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Okay.
Oh boy, I don't know how I missed that one.
And there goes our rated G rating, as I said, shit. Newgarden has reeled him in.
Here we go, Newgarden for the lead.
He needs to
Big
capitalize.
run into turn 3.
He needs to capitalize.
Oh, he about loses it.
pit stops within about the next 5 to 6 laps. Newgarden needs to capitalize. This is going to be big. And mind you, I've been watching the pit stop laps, and reminder, Newgarden has gone about 2 laps longer than McLaughlin. So what needs to happen if Newgarden wants the shot to win this? He needs to get around Scotty Mack and then start to pull out to a lead. Really stretch that gap to where when the pit cycles happens, he has a little bit of a cushion to lean on.
Here comes Scotty.
McLaughlin.
And Newgarden. It's tight. Now Newgarden takes the lead.
Bad move there, in my opinion.
Wow.
So now the broadcast is focusing on Will Power to see what his pit strategy call is. Is he going to...
Will Power's in. He's coming in anyway.
It appears as if him and Santino Ferrucci even, I think. Yep. Gucci Santucci heads in. Watching
So
live.
now I am going to eye Pato O'Ward and see what he can do here. I don't think he'll be able to skip that last pit stop. I think that's just too tall of an order.
So the question is, do you pit, drive that couple laps, and then come in once you know you can make it to the end? Or do you come in towards the end of the fuel run when you know you have to come in? What's the best way to strategize that?
If I knew it would go caution-free, then maybe cut it in half.
Fair enough. Looking live at Pato, he's going to go another round.
If he can make it to about 166, then he can go the rest of the way.
Connor Daly, Alexander Rossi are in. McLaughlin has completed his pit stop. He's 6th, as Newgarden just now goes to pit. I think Newgarden's going to be okay. I think Newgarden's going to have the time on McLaughlin. McLaughlin just now is through turn 2, I believe.
Yep, there he is. I don't know, Indianapolis, that pit lane is just, the time it takes to go down that long pit lane is just unbearable as a driver.
Newgarden's in his box. Jay, where is McLaughlin? Coming into 3?
McLaughlin, I believe, is in 3.
Newgarden
Oh, he's out of 4. There he is, out of 4.
Newgarden is just now rolling out of his pit box.
Oh, might be a lot closer than I thought.
He crossed the green line. He's on the acceleration chute.
Here comes McLaughlin into 1.
McLaughlin is going to pass him.
Through the short chute. And it's McLaughlin back to the race lead. Or, well, the traditional race lead.
Not by much. Newgarden is out and accelerating. The race lead is going to be, about a 2-second gap, more or less, as Newgarden's up to speed.
And here comes Pato.
Pato's in. Ericsson should be coming in too.
It is going to be a tall order to make it. It is technically possible. I've seen it done, but I don't think it can happen. He's got to be on the loud pedal.
Scott McLaughlin leads over Newgarden by 2.3. Working lap 164. Pato O'Ward, Marcus Ericsson appear to be the last 2 to pit. From what I can see. McLaughlin pulling back away from Newgarden. 2.4 seconds is the gap. Now it's down to 2.2. Newgarden's starting to pull some space away. Scott Dixon heads in. Will Power is currently 4th. He should get around Dixon as Dixon pits. Will Power still about 27 and a half seconds off the lead though, so it's going to take a miracle for Will Power to gain the lap time back. Down to 8 cars remaining on the lead lap. Marcus Ericsson 8th place here, the last car on the lead lap. Scott McLaughlin dives to the inside. He's going to get by Stingray Rob. In lap 166. Newgarden back by 2 seconds, starting to close in some gap. Starting to get the draft, I believe, off of Stingray Rob. Will Power just crossing the start-finish line. So the leaders are on the backstretch into 3. Joseph Newgarden's really getting a hell of a run. Only a
Big run off of 4. He's going to get him no problem.
As Dave Malukas and Renus VK have entered pit side. 1.2 seconds the gap between first and second.
Here comes RC Anderson. McLaughlin's going to get him at a good place here.
McLaughlin into 3. This is going to set Newgarden up for kind of a bad place. Going to have to get around him on the outside quick. Does that just fine. Good pass for Newgarden. But he's lost some time. Stingray Rob brings it in pit side. McLaughlin pulls it out now through the arrow out to back to a 2-second lead. It's a little bit of an arrow game.
Connor Daly.
Connor Daly for 7th. They got by 8th place Felix Rosenquist, put him a lap down. It's a little bit of an arrow race now between your leaders, both on fresh tires with a full tank of fuel. Newgarden closes. McLaughlin catches a lapper in the draft. It's just a game of cat and mouse, high speed at this point.
As we come out of turn 4, I have to say this. Ladies and gentlemen, the pit window is now open.
And what a nice time it's going to be working lap 169 now within the pit window. It's been a very nice race so far here as we work on lap 169. Got a nice battle for the lead, too, between Scott McLaughlin and Joseph Newgarden. Less than a second between your two leaders. In a lap 169 battle.
Wide in front. Here we go. Man.
Scott McLaughlin getting held up. Ooh, big move for Newgarden. He had to back out of it and let Connor Daly around. We got a nice race here for the lead here on lap 169 through lap traffic. Nice battle for the lead. 169 laps in the book. Newgarden staying with them. Speed and intensity both picking up. 30 laps to go here at IMS. As Felix Rosenquist looking to get back by Joseph Newgarden. As McLaughlin has a lap car just ahead of him. That's going to be Marcus Erickson.
Erickson actually passed him to get back onto the lead
lap. Correct. Connor Daly separates the leaders now. Got to keep them separated. I can sing that song, I just can't play it, or YouTube would take down my copyright. So,
but you can't sing it too good.
Yeah, you can't sing it too good. And that right there was 5 stars, man. That was Rock Band. I would have just set a new high score. Too bad I'm a Guitar Hero guy. So.
Controversy aside, we got us a race going on.
That's right.
30 laps to go, 75 miles remain.
Less than 6/10 between the leaders. Newgarden needs to time a move. He needs to get by Daly and start sucking up the draft off of McLaughlin. Looks like Stingray, Rob, and Erickson do battle behind. Newgarden, Connor Daly needs to give it up. Could the draft actually be helping Newgarden maybe save some fuel? Could this
I think so.
Could this be strategy?
It could be.
1.2 seconds is the gap between your leaders. Now it's out to 1.7. Newgarden's pace has backed it down over McLaughlin. All right, Jay, you're quiet. We're coming to 25 to go. Let's take a minute to say what is on Jay Barker's mind.
I'm just trying to think of maybe what strategy are these guys going to do? Are they going to take tires on this last pit stop and be out there on ice skates pretty much, you know?
I expect them to take tires. If they're taking fuel, I think tires will be the factor. I don't think.
But you're only going to be doing maybe 5 laps. Is it worth the time?
It depends on what the gap is. If you're somebody like McLaughlin, who's pitted, or a couple laps early compared to Newgarden and continue to stay out in the lead.
Well, what was McLaughlin's pit lap?
Looking at the data, McLaughlin pitted 128, Newgarden pitted 130. Will Power came in early and pitted on lap 127.
Well, on this last stop, I should say.
Has not rendered yet.
Okay, let me go to this.
Hang on. I can tell you. I'm sorry. Scott McLaughlin pitted on lap 160. Joseph Newgarden pitted on lap 162. Will Power pitted on lap 160. Pedal Award pitted lap 163.
So, McLaughlin, I'm thinking 192. Newgarden, about 194.
And Award, probably 196.
So, I'd say Award, if I were those guys, I'd leave the tires behind the wall.
Take the fuel and the time.
Just take the fuel, and I really don't know what's going to happen on this final pit stop. It's going to be crazy, I think.
And for the first time today, instead of seeing the lap count, we are now in the final stretch of laps to go. The final 8th of the race to go. The final set of miles and set of laps. 25 laps to go here around Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
24 now.
24 now, as it is Joseph Newgarden leading by 2.4 seconds and gaining over Joseph Newgarden there in second. Will Power quietly has actually started to chip off a lot of time. Will Power is only 20 seconds behind the leaders, which does sound like a lot considering he was at 35 seconds off the lead not that long ago. He sits in third, not quite out of it yet. But unfortunately, he's got to work by, I believe that's R.C. Anderson. Anderson's going to go high. Will Power's finally going to clear it. 3 seconds the gap between the leaders now.
Now, I don't know if this has anything to do with anything.
Go ahead.
But in 2020, when the world shut down for the pandemic, IndyCar did the Pro Invitational on iRacing. Scott McLaughlin did win the Indianapolis race.
Very interesting. R.C. Anderson takes it pit side. R.C. Anderson took a splash and he is now out. Stingray Robb and Catherine Leg, finding that, have battled. That's for 31st. Point is almost mute at this point, but good to see them still battling. .7 seconds the gap between first and second. There's Newgarden, there's McLaughlin. He's going to have to deal with, is that Andretti?
Yes, it is.
And then I believe that's Pagano ahead.
Yeah.
Kirkwood.
Here goes. Oh, McLaughlin. Oh, man, that's going to kill him. Well, maybe not kill him, but certainly didn't help anything.
Newgarden capitalized a little bit. The gap now 2 seconds between your leaders. 21 to go. 9 plus 10. 21 laps to go. For all you TikTokers out there.
Out of turn number 4, 50 miles is all that separates Scott McLaughlin and some nice cold, ice cold milk.
And the gap now 1.5 seconds and shrinking. Newgarden charging a late race run. Catching Connor Daly again, it appears. 5 cars on the lead lap. Rossi got a good bit of gap in between him and your race leader. Cody Gump has yawned. Do not add to the sneeze count.
I'm not sure what to say to that. I was thinking of something funny to say, but I could not think of something. 19 to go.
Newgarden 2 seconds behind. Will Power 19.4 seconds off the lead. Or Will
Power has been quietly gaining.
He started to fall back though, 21.2 seconds off the lead. As actually, I will pull up some lap times for him. Newgarden has, last lap Newgarden was 0.8 a second faster. The previous lap, 180, was 0.2 faster. Newgarden was slower, lap 78 and 179 by about 0.2. But Newgarden continues to be faster, so they continue to pull away. .5 seconds the gap between the leaders. Marking 18 to go. All right, Jay, coming to 16 to go. McLaughlin or Newgarden, who you got?
He's just been too strong and on it all day. I got to take McLaughlin.
I'm thinking Joseph Newgarden's going to pull something off. He's gone longer on these fuel runs. Might be able to gain some time on McLaughlin. I think Newgarden's going to have it. Going to manage to get some time pulled away off of McLaughlin. I think Newgarden's going to be the one in terms of the top two. Will Power still has me impressed, though. Depending on how the fuel and the strategy shapes out, I think Will Power might make some noise. The one guy I'm definitely not going to count out, though, is Pato Award, currently in 4th. Although he is 32 seconds behind the lead, he's in danger of going a lap down, as 5th place Rossi is the last car on the lead lap. Although your leaders, Newgarden with a run, 1.3 seconds now the gap. 0.8 a second.
McLaughlin back in turn 1 tried to get under Marco, but he did not have enough speed or strength to actually pass him, and he had to let off in the middle of the corner.
McLaughlin last lap almost a second slower compared to Newgarden. McLaughlin was faster lap 181, 82, and 83 just by 0.2, half a second, 6/100th. Then he lost 1.1. He's lost 1.1 seconds in the last 2 laps.
I will say, them boys down under, they know how to party it up, and I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of happy Kiwis in New Zealand tonight. But 14 laps, anything can happen. I don't want to jinx him, but it's looking pretty good.
McLaughlin back out to a 2.5 second lead here with 13 to go. Three and a half seconds the gap between first and second. Jay, who's it going to be? You still think it's Scotty Mac?
I still think Scotty Mac.
Looking at the pit stop, Scotty Mac last pitted on lap 160, Newgarden 162, Will Power 160, O'Ward 163. Him and Erickson went the longest. Actually, Scott Dixon went the longest of the top 8, pitting on lap 164. Scott Dixon, though, in eighth, a lap down. Curious to see how that plays out. So we should start seeing pit stops.
Here in the next 2 laps, I'd imagine.
Next 2 to 4 laps. Watching McLaughlin here, trying to get by Andretti.
"25 miles remain in the Indianapolis 500.
Newgarden's charging a run again. Down to almost 2 seconds, the gap. Battle for 11th. Graham Rahal, Castroneves, Pagano. Now, Jay, as we get to the final 10 laps, riddle me this. In real life, has a Indy 500 ever gone caution-free?
Plenty, actually. We didn't really, cautions weren't really a thing in the early 1900s. Last time it happened, though, I can't really think. I'd have to say last time it happened was probably mid-late 80s.
Okay.
I remember in 2014, the first about 150 laps went caution-free, and that was a hell of a race.
Interesting.
McLaughlin not signaling.
I bet
he's still out there.
I bet next lap. Ferrucci pits. He's going to be the first one to pit. He is a lap down, I believe. Santino Ferrucci, 19th. He's 1, maybe 2 laps down. If he's 1 lap down, he might still be in it. He's 2 laps down. First car 2 laps down, so he's probably out of it. Watching McLaughlin and Newgarden
McLaughlin
now.
signaling. Here we go.
What's Newgarden going to do? Newgarden's going to continue to stay out. Watching Will Power now.
And here we go. The money stop. He's only going to take maybe 2 seconds of fuel here.
Will Power's just out of the back stretch. Elio Castroneves is in, so is Augustine Canapino.
So power coming in.
Yep. Pitting from third.
Joseph Newgarden inherits the lead.
For how long, though?
The biggest moment of his life, possibly coming in the next 7 laps.
Hoping and praying there's enough fuel in the tank. Pagenaud, Graham Rahal, and Takuma Sato have all entered the pit lane.
6 laps to go for Joseph Newgarden.
Watching Pato O'Ward now in second. McLaughlin's already back up to third, completed his pit stop. He's just behind Pato. Pato's going to continue to go. McLaughlin will catch him, though, on tires, it appears.
Newgarden is pitting.
And McLaughlin's going to pass him easily. No. Not yet. Stand corrected. Watching Newgarden in the pit. McLaughlin just now down the backstretch.
So Pato O'Ward cannot coast at all because McLaughlin is right behind him. That is a battle for position.
Newgarden hasn't made it to his pit box yet. Slow down pit lane.
He got slowed up a lot.
Yeah, Newgarden just now to his box. Pato O'Ward under pressure. McLaughlin's going to get by him.
Scott McLaughlin to the race lead.
I think McLaughlin's going to have this one. Newgarden's just now exited. He's going to be about 6 seconds off of McLaughlin. 5 to go. Rosenquist has pitted. Will Power already pitted.
This time by 4 laps to go, just a qualifying run away from the Indianapolis 500 is Scott McLaughlin.
Pato's in, Jack Harvey, Tony Kanaan, and more. Newgarden 8 seconds off the lead. He's about to get passed by Pagenaud. I don't think Newgarden must have not taken tires. McLaughlin definitely did. Yeah, Newgarden, dude, he is so slow. He's like a fish out of water. Three to go for McLaughlin.
Down into turn 3. Wow, that was a bit closer than I would have wanted.
Yep. In a move he didn't need to make. McLaughlin continues to pull away from Newgarden. Newgarden back by 11.5 seconds. Yeah, Newgarden must have not taken tires. McLaughlin has just blown the doors off of him.
2 laps to go. This will
Watching
be the first win for the 3-car at Indianapolis since 2009 when Elio took it to victory lane.
Connor Daly completes his pit stop.
But for the Yellow Submarine, we got to look back to, I think, 1988 when Rick Mears won. As this time by, 796 corners have been completed. 4 to go. 2.5 miles to glory at the Brickyard for Scott McLaughlin.
Through 1 and 2. Coming out of 2 down to the long back straightaway. A 16-second lead over Newgarden, and that lead continues to grow as Newgarden did not take tires that last run. Continues to lose speed and caught in lap traffic. McLaughlin out by himself into 3 through the short chute into 4. Jay Barker, take us home.
Out of turn number 4, 800 corners complete. Scott McLaughlin, you are immortal. Indianapolis 500 champion.
McLaughlin's going to win it. Newgarden, a battle throughout the race, couldn't quite get it done though. Going to be second as he just now crosses the finish line. Will Power's going to be third. Will Power headed to the finish line.
What an effort for these Penske guys.
1, 2, 3, dominating the field. And not only did they dominate the field, they dominated each other. 31 seconds in between first and third. 4 cars on the lead lap. Caution-free race.
We had a safe race. We had a clean race. And frankly, it was a pretty decent race. I mean, Scott McLaughlin led over 180 laps of this thing, but Newgarden was hounding him for a good 50% of that.
Absolutely. Hard to be mad about that one. So to recap, Scott McLaughlin wins over Joseph Newgarden. Will Power sits P3, P4 goes to Pato Award. Rossi is 5th, Graham Rahal 6th, Pagenaud 7th, Marcus Ericsson 8th, 9th, Elio Castroneves, 10th goes to Connor Daly, 11th, Scott Dixon, 12th, Felix Rosenquist, Santino Ferrucci 13th, 14th, Alex Pillow, 15th, Colt Herta, 16th, Jack Harvey, Romain Grosjean, Kyle Kirkwood is 18th. 19th, Marco Andretti. The Andretti curse continues in 19th. 20th, Agustin Canapino. 21st, Dave Malukas. Takuma Sato, 22nd. 23rd, Ed Carpenter. 24th, Renus VK. 25th, Tony Kanaan. 26th, Christian Lundgaard. 27th, Callum Ilott. 28th, Devlin DeFrancesco. Benjamin Pedersen is 29th. 30th, Stingray Robb. 31st, Stefan Wilson. 32nd, Catherine Legge. 33rd, RC Anderson. Looking at the race, the biggest gain would be a tie between Graham Rahal and Augustine Canapino. The difference would be Graham Rahal went +7 from 13th to 6th, and Augustine Canapino went 27th to 20th. The biggest loser of the event would be a tie between Scott Dixon, who went -6 to finish 11th, started 5th, finished 11th, and -6 for Christian Lundgaard, finished 26th and started 20th. So that's going to do it. Jay Barker, any final last words you got to say?
I don't really know. Santino Ferrucci, shout out to him, top 15 today, finished 13th. I want to give a shout out to the Meyer Shank boys of Castroneves and Pagenaud. They've been having trouble the past few years with speed, and they ended up top 10, both of them. Good run for those guys. Rahal Letterman Lanigan with Graham finishing 6th. That's another good run here for Graham. Rossi, he was up there all day. The McLaren guys were on top of it. They had all 3 of their primary cars running very well. It was an interesting race through and through.
For sure. Will Power and Pato Award get a special pat on the back for me, man. They were quietly in the top 5 all day. Never really made any noise for the lead, but just a good, solid, quiet day. Top 5. Man, I would have loved to see some cautions, unfortunately. I know that's kind of bad to say. Like, I wish Pato Award and Will Power, if they just would have had the track position, I'd have been curious to see what they had. Rossi was really good there, too. So, Connor Daly had some good speed early. Just, pit cycles and track position kind of held him up. So, I don't know. That was fun. We're just now hitting the 3-hour mark of the recording, so the race pace was pretty quick. So this race will get put on YouTube again. CodyG TV, CodyG, Cody Gump, and Jay Barker on the call. It's been real. It's been fun. Jay Barker, we'll have to do this again soon, man. That was a lot of fun.
Yep. Maybe we'll do a full length Coke 600. That might be fun.
Yeah, I'd be down. So, well, like I said, this will wrap it up for us. Until next time, thanks for watching CodyG TV with special guest Jay Barker. Peace.